Let's get nasty on a Monday. It's a Fast Lane on 101 ESPN with Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter, 203. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Just Marshy and I today. Jamie's traveling with the Blues, and Carey Davis taking off for Martin Luther King Day. So we appreciate you being tuned in. I know a lot of people are off today, Marsh. So anybody that is either working today and driving around or listening in their cubicle, welcome. Yes. If you decided to make us a part of your day, even when you're off, we appreciate you greatly as well. So thanks for hanging out with Marsh and I until 5:30. We're off a little bit early because, Marsh, we got Indiana-Miami pregame for the national championship. I know that we're going to get into that game. We're going to hit that from a couple of different angles, and I'm very excited for tonight's game. But, you know, you had a great point, and I hadn't thought of it until you mentioned it. You said in the office when you and I were kind of breaking down the show and which way we're going to go and all that, you said there doesn't feel like there's a lot of buzz, a lot of hype for this Indiana-Miami game. And again, I really didn't think of it until you brought that up. I think you're right. I just don't know why.
I wonder if it's based on what we saw in the semifinal with Indiana, the way they dismantled the Oregon Ducks, if everybody just assumes that they'll do the same thing to the Hurricanes tonight.
I can see that.
Plus, we're coming off of the divisional round, and this game's on a Monday. I don't know. Like, the college football season, it feels like it just kind of drags. And it's like, oh, we're going to play this game on a Monday. I don't know. Like, that's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
I really do think that it really comes down to what Indiana did in their previous two games, the way they just absolutely beat the brakes off of Alabama and Oregon. A lot of people maybe think that this game probably will go the same way. We'll talk about it later in the show.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I mean, we had four entertaining football games this weekend. To me, this will be the cherry on top, and it's like finding $5 in your pocket. You're like, oh, wow, we get another football game tonight.
Right. It is good. We'll have it for you right here on 101 ESPN, Indiana-Miami pregame at 5:30. Kickoff 6:30, although they say that. The national championship.
Probably be 8 o'clock.
Yeah, probably about 9 o'clock, yep. All right, let's start off with the Blues. Flat, discouraging loss over the weekend to the Oilers. Now, this, of course, is coming off the victory against the Lightning.
Yeah.
Where the Blues ended the Lightning's 11-game winning streak. If you remember, of course, and you do, the Blues had blanked the Hurricanes in what I got the sense watching and reading the pregame or the postgame notes by Jim Montgomery, as well as talking to Coach last week, that was one of his favorite games. The way that the Blues played against the Hurricanes, it was like, hey, if we just bottle this up and we continue to do this, we're going to be in good shape. Then, of course, you beat the Lightning. No small feat. Then you lose 5-0 to the Oilers?
Yeah. I mean, you're playing against the best player in the world who made some incredible plays last night, specifically one where I believe it was Tyler Tucker. He danced around, chipped it off the wall, able to beat him to the puck, and like spun around and just fed one backdoor. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's an all-world play.
Sure.
Like, I don't really know how many players stopped that. Now, the game was sort of out of hand at that point anyways, but yeah, I mean, last night was disappointing for sure because you are looking for that third win. You have not had that all season long. This team cannot win 3 games in a row. And you're thinking, based on what we saw against the Carolina Hurricanes and the Tampa Bay Lightning, it's not like these two teams that the Blues just played are towards the bottom of the standings like they are.
Yeah.
These are two of the best teams in the NHL. And then you take on the Oilers thinking, okay, if they continue to play the way that they have been playing, maybe this game will be a close game. I'm not saying the Blues are going to win it, but maybe we'll see the game come down to the wire or something like that. Or maybe they go to overtime again or a shootout. Who knows? But that was just not the case. The game fell over in the first period.
So I want to highlight something you said because you nailed it from the perspective that I'm looking at it, which is that if the game was 3-2 and the Oilers won, you can lean toward the progress.
Yeah, and like they had the best player in the world.
Right. You lost to the Oilers. Okay. It happens. A lot of teams lose to the Oilers. 3-2, 3-1, something like that. There's still some tangible evidence here that you're heading in the right direction. I think big picture, though, a lot of the same things that have plagued the Blues all season were on display last night.
Too many penalties.
I mean, you could start with Braden Shen's penalty that directly led to the opening goal.
Yeah.
So you had that. Edmonton has the best power play in the league. Hockey 101, you can't gift the opportunities to a team like that. Once the Oilers scored first, it felt like the Blues were on tilt. Lack of defensive structure, again, inconsistent effort away from the puck. Not meaning that guys don't care, just in terms of body on body, stick on stick. That wasn't there. Poor discipline against elite teams. We've seen that. Save for the Lightning and the Hurricane. Too much reliance on Binnington to bail them out, who didn't.
Right,
So,
yeah.
These are the same. The most frustrating thing is not the loss to the Oilers. It was the manner in which they lost.
Yeah.
Because it kind of dovetails the progress that we all thought maybe the Blues were making after the back-to-back wins against the Canes and the Lightning.
Yeah, it just wasn't a good game. And, the Oilers didn't even have Leon Draisaitl either. So maybe you go into that game thinking, okay, well, the Oilers don't have their second best player, who is also one of the best players in the NHL.
Right.
And you're thinking, okay, maybe, Colton Parayko or somebody can just sort of eliminate Connor McDavid and let the rest of the team try and beat you. It just wasn't the case. One of the goals, you have a board battle down low in the corner, and the Oilers come out with it, and they throw it on net, rebound, boom, in the back of the net.
Right.
And it just felt like after the first period that you knew that this game was going to just be an awful showing. It just wasn't fun.
Well, you mentioned the rebounds. This is where a lot of people grow frustrated with Binnington. I get it. He has not had his best season by far. The Blues are going to need more out of him, and certainly following the Olympic break. Both things can be true. If you look at last night, though, unchecked rebounds, couldn't defend. You had a missed coverage opportunity in the slots that led to either goals or scoring opportunities for Edmonton. Screens, deflections with, I think, zero resistance. McDavid, as you mentioned, walking defenders. That one you can excuse. But the issues that we saw again last night have been on display. And Braden Shen, I thought, nailed it. He said, look, I took a penalty and gave the best power play in the league an opportunity. We're leaving him hanging out to dry this year, him being Jordan Binnington. He needs to play better, full stop. And also, the defensive miscues and the lack of effort in front of Binnington continue to be a glaring issue as well.
Yeah, I wonder why
And
that
I don't know
is. I don't know. Like, we've made jokes in the past about Miles Michaelis not getting run support, right?
Right.
Why is that? I don't know. But it just seems like the team doesn't play as well in front of Binner than they do in front of Joel Hofer. But give Joel Hofer a ton of credit. In those last two games, he made some huge saves that sort of bailed the team out. And I know that we've talked about the team playing better in those two games, but he made some stops throughout those two games where, like, maybe the Blues don't win if it's not for him.
Sure.
And you're not getting that from Jordan Binnington. Although you can make an argument the score could have been like 8-9-0 last night if Jordan Binnington didn't make a couple key saves.
Sure.
He just didn't make enough. And the team didn't play well enough in front of him, and the offense was lacking.
Yeah.
And the power play was terrible.
They didn't play, well, we'll get to that. They didn't play well enough in front of him. He didn't bail him out.
Yeah.
Should he have to bail him out every single time he makes a start? No. But
at this point, you kind of have to.
You may have to. Now, Marsh just mentioned the power play. As most of you Blues fans already know, I know that BK and Ferrario and T-Bone talked about it. I'm sure you've read about it. Steve Ott is taking over as the Springfield Thunderbirds head coach for the remainder of the season. Doug Armstrong announced today that Steve Ott will assume the role of head coach for the team's AHL affiliate, the Springfield Thunderbirds, for the remainder of the season. And Ott replaces Steve Nolichuk, who has been relieved of his duties. Of course, the subsequent move is Steve Ott is sent down to the minors and he overtakes that. Maybe he has an opportunity to either keep that job or do a good job and either find another NHL head coaching position, or maybe they carve out a different position for Ott here in the Blues. Either way, the Ott story is yet to be determined. We know the biggest impact is that Steve Ott was, of course, he oversaw the power play.
Yeah.
I almost said Jordan Binnington. Jim Montgomery is going to take over the power play now. So he is putting that on himself. So it'll be interesting to see now if one of the biggest issues for the Blues this season, i.e. the power play, we start to see that turn around a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe it's one of those things where, well, it could, but you're right. I wonder if this is a move where we now shift the focus to somebody else who is taking over on the power play, and now if it continues to be what it is, now we shift our focus to the players. Are the players making the right decisions? All these different things. But the power play needs to be different. What they're doing now just doesn't work. Like, sometimes they can't even get into the zone and even set up on the power play. Half the power play is gone. A minute goes by before they're even in the zone trying to set things up.
Right.
Like, their entries sometimes just do not look clean. You know, it starts with winning the face-off and winning the puck battle when the puck is right there on the dot. It's just stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. It's tough to watch, though, sometimes. It really is.
No question. Then you hear Jamie break it down, and there's simple things that the Blues could be doing to give themselves a better opportunity to score on the power play.
Yeah.
And you could tell Jamie's frustration both on and off air with that as he's breaking down the power play. And you're like, okay, well, something's going to change. Something is changing. But to your point, if the results aren't there, then you start to look at whether or not the Blues have the right players. And I'm sure that the Blues are already looking at that as it is. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Blues Jets pregame tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Puck drop at 7. You can listen to it all on 101 ESPN. We're going to systematically break down the NFL playoffs as we saw throughout the course of the week. We will talk about some of the storylines for the Cardinals winter warm-up, which we know also happened over the weekend. But, you know, look, with the NFL playoffs being on Saturday and Sunday, our first opportunity to react to it. We certainly have a lot of evergreen topics that we can get to with the Cardinals throughout the course of the week. But we're not going to leave Cardinals fans hanging today. We will talk about what success actually looks like for the Cardinals in 2026, at least this version of the Cardinals. That's coming up at 3 o'clock. One of the most controversial calls in the playoffs, period, came this weekend in Denver. But did the refs actually ruin the game? Whose fault is it? Who's to blame? We'll get into that next on 101 ESPN. Anthony Stalter back with Mosby Building Arts. It's interesting, right? You come off the holidays and maybe you hosted the holidays. And you start to realize that once you get a lot of people in, everybody kind of gravitates toward the kitchen, and you're looking around, you're like, man, we don't have a lot of space here. Maybe we can do something to upgrade the look and the feel of our home in 2026. Maybe a 2026 home refresh. Well, that's where my friends at Mosby Building Arts come into picture here. No matter how big your house is, everyone, like I said, winds up being in the kitchen. If you plan the party, time to maybe think about flow, space, how to actually use your kitchen. Like a lot of people, one of our resolutions in the Stalter household is to kind of find areas that might need either upgrading or fixing when it comes to our home. And if the holidays gave you that same reality check, if you notice things that need to be changed or you just want to upgrade things for 2026, check out Mosby. Call Mosby.com for inspiration. They'll send somebody out, too, if you call 314-909-1800 for a free brainstorming session. And this is where I feel like Mosby really comes into play. When we had some doors that needed to be replaced and an issue that we had in the basement needed fixing, Mosby's person that came out was absolutely phenomenal. His name is Rich, but all their people are great. And he walked us through what the real issue was. And that's one of the biggest benefits of going with Mosby. You have the brainstorming session, whether it's creative or you need something fixed, they're there for you. Call Mosby.com. When you do actually pick up the phone to call them, 314-909-1800. Tell them that Anthony Stalter sent you. Mosby Building Arts, the right remodeling company.
They pick it up, and they go deep down the field, and the pass is caught. No, it's McMillan has the football.
That audio courtesy of NBC Sports and Peacock as or CBS, excuse me. As it certainly felt like that was a catch by Brandon Cooks yesterday. And that came or Saturday, excuse me, I'm getting my days mixed up. That came in the Denver and Buffalo game in which the game was on the line. Buffalo in overtime had forced a 3-and-out from Denver. As we know now, Bo Nix was playing some of those plays, at least in overtime, on a fractured ankle that will cost him an opportunity to play in the AFC Championship game. It'll be Jarrett Stidham because Bo Nix is now out for the season. But Buffalo had forced the 3-and-out. Buffalo gets the ball back. It's in Josh Allen's hands, and he throws a deep shot to Brandon Cooks that, again, looked and felt like it was going to be a catch. A lot of Bills fans, of course, breaking it down. Sean McDermott, who has now been fired, by the way. McDermott lost his job earlier today. A lot of Bills fans, of course, in a tizzy over the call. There's two things that, if you're listening right now, and if Donnie Fandango's listening, who's a diehard Bills fan, he of course, does incredible work for our sister station, 105.7 The Point in the Arch. If he's listening, he might want to kill me. But here's the thing. By rule, an interception was the right call. There's two phases to a catch. It is the start of the catch, and it is the completion of the catch. Mm-hmm. Both things have to happen for it to be a catch. Brandon Cooks started the catch. He started that act. Mm-hmm. As he's falling to the ground, he does not survive the ground with possession of the ball, and Jaquan McMillan does. By rule, that's an interception. Cooks started the catch. McMillan completed the catch. Therefore, it's an interception. Have I seen it called in favor of the DB? No. But that doesn't mean that the refs got it wrong on Saturday. In fact, they got it right. By definition of the rule, it's right. Now, Marsh, I'm sure you've also seen the screen graphs of Devontae Adams' catch last night against the Bears. How is this a catch and the other one is an interception? Because Devontae Adams started the catch. He had possession when his knee hit. Therefore, he's down by rule. No interception.
Yeah, I believe there was one. And at first when I saw it, I was thinking a lot like what I'm sure Bills fans are feeling right now in thinking that, okay, Brandon Cooks had that football, shouldn't have been an interception. There's one particular replay angle that I saw where I'm like, oh, man, because I wanted the Bills to win that game. That's no shocker. I don't like the Broncos. I definitely don't want them to win the AFC Championship game.
Sorry, Bronco fans.
Sorry, I don't want to see Jarrett Stidham in the Super Bowl. But I saw that replay, and I'm like, man, that angle shows that he did not have possession of it. And I'm sure Bills fans are like, what are you talking about? There's one angle where I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know, Jim. I don't think he had it. What did you think of the play? Did you like the play call? I thought Buffalo was marching down the field.
No. Now, if he catches it, it's a great play call because you're going to win the game.
For sure.
But no, I didn't like it because in that moment, you now have the game in your hands.
Yeah.
Denver did not. Denver lost the coin toss. Buffalo kicked, which is the right call because now you have an opportunity to either match a touchdown, a field goal, or you just simply need a field goal to win the game.
Right.
So Buffalo had everything. They won the coin toss. They kicked, did everything right. They forced the 3-and-out. So now you just need a field goal, and Josh Allen takes the big shot downfield. Cooks had a step on his guy, but regardless, Denver's now on tilt a little bit. You were running the ball effectively throughout that entire game. James Cook wasn't cooking necessarily, but you were picking up positive yardage throughout that game. And Josh Allen was minimizing not having some of his wide receivers by distributing the ball to his receivers and tight ends, namely Dalton Kincaid. You didn't need the big shot there. But the bigger fault, and I tease this, who's to blame? Certainly not the refs. Even if you feel as though that should have been a catch for Cooks, which I disagree with, because had he not survived the ground and the ball simply hit the turf, it would have been an incomplete pass. He didn't survive the ground. The ball wound up in McMillan's hands. It should have been an interception. But even if you believe that the Bills got jobbed on that call, Josh Allen still turned the ball over at an unbelievably unfortunate rate.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to the end of the first half, and he's running around with his arm sticking out, basically asking Denver to knock the ball out of his hand. And we've seen Josh Allen do that multiple times throughout his career. Mm-hmm. I thought right then and there that would ultimately come back to bite them, and it did. I mean, you eliminate those 3 points, and you kick the field goal at the end of the game, you win by 3.
Yes.
I'm not saying that the game would ultimately go the way that it did. Who knows, right? But they lost by 3 points, had to go to overtime, and you gave them 3 points at the end of the first half.
Correct.
I think Josh Allen, he is Superman at times, and I felt like he didn't need to be in that moment. Mm-hmm. And you can't. Yes, you want to blame the refs, and not even for that, but like some of the calls on defense as well.
Second PI was ridiculous. The one that set up Denver's game-winning field goal. You want to be pissed at anything from a ref standpoint? That's the one, in my opinion, to be pissed at, because the one on White was not. That wasn't PI.
So you want to blame the refs. Sure, that's just typically what fans do. But at the end of the day, like you can't turn the ball over that many times.
Correct.
I don't think the Bills deserve to win that game based on everything that I saw from them holding on to the football or lack thereof.
They showed Josh Allen on the bench one time. There was a graphic, and it said Bills 4 turnovers, Broncos 0 turnovers at the time of the game, whatever moment that was. And I had a thought to myself. I said, "There's no way the Bills win this game. They got no business winning this game." The fact that they were in position to win it is a testament to what Josh Allen can do.
For sure.
Which included, as Denver takes the lead on the Marvin Mims touchdown, Josh Allen looks at his teammates. CBS got a great shot of it where he's looking at his teammates, and you could tell initially he's like disappointed. He goes, "All right, let's go."
Yeah.
Right down the field, kicks a field goal, sends it to overtime. That's the Josh Allen that the Bills have leaned on time and time and time again.
Well,
but to turn the ball over that many times, to lose, it's not just you turn the ball over, the Broncos turn those into points. You don't have an opportunity to score. And Josh Allen knew it. He went to the podium. He was crying. He was incredibly upset. He said, I let my teammates down. Why does he feel that way? Because he was careless with the football right before half that you mentioned, Marsh. The other time was he got a hit in the back, but he dropped back way too far. He's already in shotgun. He goes back 11 yards. That's a perfect opportunity for a defensive end to have a lane to get to you as the quarterback. I think it was Bonito on that one. Strips the ball. They get it. Broncos get another chance right out of halftime. Yeah. So you're down 10. You come out of halftime. You're thinking, all right, we get a good drive together. We get some points. We're right back in this thing. Forget, and now you're down even more because of another turnover.
Right.
That's the thing that costs you the most.
Well, and past the final, before they kick the field goal, I mean, you hit your target, man. You win the game.
Right
up the seam. We saw that against Philly where they had the 2-point opportunity. It was right there. Right play call, missed him.
Yep.
He missed his guy. I'm not saying that. Who was it? Dawson Knox or was it Kincaid? It was one of the tight ends. I can't remember which one. Those two. I feel like
they look a lot.
Yeah, they're like the same number too.
Yeah.
But you hit that guy. He probably gets into the end zone and you win the game at the last second.
Yeah.
So there were missed opportunities for the Bills. Do you want to blame the refs? Sure. That's just what fans do, and I understand it. It's a controversial call, but I think the Bills, they had an opportunity to win that game, a chance to go to the Super Bowl, because at least go to the AFC Championship game. But I feel like they would have done pretty well. I don't know.
That would have been an epic game.
It would have been an epic game.
We would have had 2 three-peats, not three-peats, but 3 clashes.
They missed out on their opportunity.
Yeah, they did.
And that seems to be the story in Buffalo.
Well, absolutely, because Sean McDermott gets fired. And why did he get fired? He got fired because it was Josh Allen versus the world. Sean McDermott is a defensive guy, and his defenses seemingly never got better. And we can blame anyway, whether it's drafting or injuries or whatever. The bottom line, he's a defensive guy, and that should be a pairing where you say, we got the right play caller in Joe Brady, we got this defensive-minded head coach, and we got Superman at quarterback. But when Josh Allen isn't at his best, is there anybody in the room or on the field that says, we've got something that we can counter? For example, we lost Nick Bosa, we lost Fred Warner, we lost George Kittle, we lost Brock Purdy, we lost all these guys. I guess we just shut it down. No, Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh, ultimate strategists, can still figure out ways to win games and get to the point where eventually you ran out of gas there. But Sean McDermott, there was no strategy behind it. There was nothing. What else was he doing? And I think the Bills would rather embrace the unknown with somebody that might be able to tap that ceiling as opposed to the guy that just continues to get them to a spot where Josh Allen has to be a hero.
Also, I know a lot of people are in the national media. They're saying, well, Josh Allen, he missed out on a really good opportunity to get to the Super Bowl. And I do believe that is true based on the teams that were in the playoffs this year on the AFC side of things. I also do want to give him credit. When we look at Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, he was the one guy that did make the playoffs. It's not like the Bills had a great team by any means. All four of those teams were subpar, in my opinion. And he was the one quarterback that got his subpar football team to the playoffs, won a round in the playoffs, and was that close to going to the AFC Championship game.
Absolutely.
So I know everyone's poo-pooing all over Josh Allen because he can't win the big game. He can't get there. But you do have to give him credit. Out of those four guys, he was the one quarterback that ultimately did will his team to the playoffs.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Flawed team, Ravens. Chiefs, flawed team. Bills, flawed team. Bengals, flawed team. One of the quarterbacks made it. You're right, and it was Josh Allen of the Bills. Congrats to the Broncos. Boy, we'll get into that side at some point. That sucks for them. Bo Nix goes down with the injury. That's terrible. I texted it out. I said, hey, Bo Nix is out for the season. And you texted back, LOL, what?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. It was so quick.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? You won this historic playoff game, and your head coach has to go back to the podium to say, hey, Bo Nix is out for the year. He's having surgery on Tuesday. Jarrett Stidham's our guy now. Could you imagine the emotional swing for a Broncos fan?
Yeah.
It's insane. Still, you're going to host the AFC Championship game. What's trending is next on 101 ESPN. When it comes to Underdog, it is the best place to play when you want to cash in on your NFL hunches, including this weekend. You got the AFC Championship game, NFC Championship game. You can make your entries right here in Missouri and win money throughout the course of the Championship Sunday game matchups as well as the Super Bowl. So when it comes to playing an Underdog, it's easy. Choose whether or not a player is going to go higher or lower in their stats. That's it. So over the weekend, last week, in fact, I passed out the Josh Allen rushing yardage. I said I think he goes higher than the 36.5 rushing yards. I think he hit it before half. I love that. Wound up being pretty easy. Same thing with Matthew Stafford. He's going to go higher than 34.5 passing attempts. He did. We didn't even need overtime for it. Those are the hunches that wound up working out for me. I'm sure you made some hunches. You had some hunches that wound up hitting for you, but did you cash in on Underdog? If you get your entries right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today. Use my promo code Anthony to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, use that promo code, just my first name, Anthony, when you sign up at Underdog. Make plays, win money. Must be 18 or older and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms_DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.inspgambling.org.
Center.
I'm Andrew March. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues lose last night to the Edmonton Oilers by a final score of 5-0. They will be back in action tomorrow, taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Pregame for that one starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Today we will be going over all of the NFL divisional round games this weekend. The NFC and AFC championship games are set. We'll also preview that, and we're going to dive into tonight's national championship as well, as Miami will face the Indiana Hoosiers. We'll have that game for you right here on 101 ESPN. Early pregame, it starts at 5:30 with the kickoff around 6:30, and we're going to get into that game with what's trending coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Topics in the sports world.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
It's time to find out with
What's Trending, brought to you by Elite Comfort Experts. Heating and cooling with no gimmicks, just guarantees. EliteComfortExperts.com.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN with Anthony Stalter and myself, Andrew Marsh. It's time for What's Trending. Anthony, we have a big game tonight. The Indiana Hoosiers going up against the Miami Hurricanes, the national championship game right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 5:30, kickoff at 6:30. Anthony, what does a win for Indiana or Miami mean for college football? So if one of these teams win, it means this for college football. If the other team wins, it means that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think for Indiana, it's a little bit more definable than Miami. If Indiana wins, it shows that you can turn around a program in short order if you get the right guy. Mm-hmm. Simple, not easy, because you don't have Kirk Cignettis out there just everywhere, or if there are, it's very difficult to find them and figure out who they are. So Cignetti comes in, he's the right coach, right game plan, and the right era. You got NIL money that's basically tilted the scales in other programs' favor now, because other teams can now pay for those players that may have been going to Alabama and Georgia and LSU and some of the bigger programs, so Ohio State. So if you do it at Indiana, it can certainly be done at other bigger programs in the Power Five. So if that's what happens, that's what it means, I think, for Indiana in relation to the landscape in college football. At Indiana specifically, well, obviously you're on the map, unbelievable season, and Kurt Cignetti, which I mentioned this last week, would have put together one of the finest coaching jobs in sports history.
Yeah.
Given where Indiana was before he got there.
100%.
Just absolutely remarkable what he did. So that is a little bit more definable. If Miami wins, I don't know if you necessarily say that, oh, Miami's on the map.
No, I have no idea what their year will look like next year.
Correct.
I would like to think that they would still be in the mix based on who they have coaching them and where they have been building towards. You know, if you look back at some of their seasons, they just continue to stack wins, right? Like, just they're inching closer and closer. And I'd say maybe you could make the argument that they're ahead of schedule this year, but I do believe that they're back in the fold. You know, people are saying, oh, Miami's back. I think they are. They're back into the fold, which I think is good for college football.
The thing I hope it doesn't say is that they don't need to change anything and the committee got this right and they're good to go. Miami winning tonight doesn't mean the committee has the right approach when it comes to getting the college football playoff field settled. I've mentioned this before. They're handcuffed by the regulations of you have to have a certain number of ranked conference champions. Because Notre Dame should have been in here. I don't know if Notre Dame is playing tonight instead of Miami or Notre Dame is facing Miami. I don't know how the brackets were. Right. But clearly, Miami should have been in the playoffs this entire time. They were good enough to be ranked in the top 12 and to play this. They beat Ohio State. If they beat Indiana tonight, they beat Indiana, they beat Ohio State, They beat Texas A&M. Am I missing anybody?
So that A&M was a one-loss team.
Ohio State, Indiana,
and Ole Miss.
And Ole Miss. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? It wasn't bracket luck. It wasn't like, hey, they just got put in the right bracket and they were able to go here.
Right.
That's an unbelievable run. Even if they put up a strong game against Indiana tonight, and I think they will, it's showing that Miami should have been in this entire time. That doesn't mean, though, that Notre Dame should have been left out. And the only reason why they were left out is for two reasons. They lost to Miami in week 1, and the committee weighed that over where they had the two teams ranked. And they had to get the conference title winners into it, which included James Madison and Tulane.
I do think, though, if Miami wins, it does show that you don't necessarily have to be a top 4 team to have a shot at winning a national championship.
Very true. Yeah. Which speaks to the parity.
Exactly. And I also believe that if Miami wins, it shows the rest of the nation that winning in the trenches still matters in college football.
That's true.
You know, you can have all these different types of star athletes and whatnot, which Miami does. Don't get me wrong. They have some absolute playmakers on their team, but they are solid in the trenches. And I think that is the reason why that they are in the spot that they're in right now.
Absolutely. Their defensive line is one of the best in football. And their offensive line, which we'll see tonight. It'll be interesting to see this offensive line, which is big and physical, and they love to lean on defensive lines that are a little undersized. If Miami wins this game, we'll get into it later. Because we got a full breakdown. I actually think this game goes differently than a lot of people think.
I do too.
And not necessarily in terms of like who wins. I'm talking about how the game plays out. So it's a little bit of a deep tease. Hopefully you're still listening when we get into that, or maybe check out the podcast a little bit later. Jeremy Rutherford's going to join us at 4:15, so we got more Blues talk, including Steve Ott, who was reassigned. He's going to be the new head coach, as of at least right now, of the Springfield Thunderbirds, and Jim Montgomery will take over the power play. So we'll get Jeremy Rutherford's thoughts on those two situations. In about 15 minutes, we're going to talk a little bit Cardinals winter warm-up. But let's get into this next. Your belief in the Seahawks may go just as far enough as you believe that Sam Darnold just simply can't lose the game. He has to simply manage the game. He's going to be allowed to, though, against the Rams. That's next on 101 ESPN. If you didn't head out there this weekend, and by there I mean Herculaneum, to check out Auto Centers Nissan's 000 Advantage sales event, what are you waiting for? Get out there tonight. Maybe there's an opportunity where you're driving around right now and you want to go check out the fact that they got over 1,000 new and used vehicles all in one location, just minutes from South County. You're going to love what Auto Centers has to bring. 0 down payments, 0% APR for 60 months, and 0 payments until summer right now on select new Nissans. So you're going to find the right vehicle. First of all, you're going to have the right selection. You're going to have the right selection, you're going to find the right vehicle, and you're going to have a way to finance it. And when you finance any new or used vehicle, you're protected with Auto Centers walkaway finance protection. They also every new Nissan also comes with a 30-day return promise. So if you're not completely satisfied with the vehicle, bring it back within 30 days. They'll refund your money, and they'll set you up with something that you may have caught your eye the first time that you didn't go with. When it comes to used vehicles, if you're in the market there, used vehicles qualify for 0 down and no payments for 3 months. So when you head out to Herculaneum, tell them Stalter sent you. Also shop confidently at AutoCentersNissan.com. It's Auto Centers Nissan.
It's Rashid Shaheed. With a Steve Shaheed breaks through. Still going. A flag flies. Shaheed's going to take it all the way. Let's see if it stands.
That call courtesy of Fox. That it did stand, by the way. The kicker for the 49ers, Pinheiro, decided to try to take out Shaheed as he raced to the end zone. The opening play of the Seattle-San Francisco game. Marsh, I was a week early on calling the demise of the 49ers. How that game in Seattle played out on Saturday night was how I visualized the game playing out in Philadelphia the week before with the 49ers.
Right.
And I'm not trying to say, like, you know, hey, look, I called this. I clearly I didn't, because they literally beat the Eagles. And I said the 49ers have no shot, which is a testament to Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh's ability, and really the entire coaching staff.
And the demise of the Eagles.
Yeah, that too. To get the most out of that 49ers team, which is banged up all year. But eventually, the wheels are going to fall off. And it certainly did on Saturday night in Seattle. And I felt bad for the 49ers, because what else are you going to do? At one point, they also lost Jake Tunges. He was heading off the field. Then eventually comes back on. He fumbles. Christian McCaffrey suffers a stinger. He gets back on the field. And you knew anytime he got hit, he was feeling that thing. The 49ers just simply ran out of bodies. They ran out of gas. And unfortunately for their fans, that probably still felt a little predictable on Saturday night. So now we turn our attention to this. Sam Darnold didn't have to do much on Saturday night. Just don't lose the game. And I don't even think he had an opportunity to lose the game. Because as soon as Rashid Shaheed took the opening kickoff back, 49ers got the ball back. They got to about midfield. They decided to go for it on fourth down, converted the fourth down, only to find out that Mike McDonald had been awarded a timeout. And then you had the dumb play, and I love Kyle Shanahan. But you had the dumb play where Juszczyk was going to be an option. He was running an option with Christian McCaffrey. They ran into the boundary, ran out of room. Seattle was all over it. They gave the ball back, and Seattle went right down the field again.
Yeah, it felt like the 49ers were trying to tie the game in a manner in which they thought that there was 2 minutes left in the game.
Sure. I don't blame them for thinking that. I know the Week 18 game was low scoring, but you knew that your defense was going to give up points this time around.
Well, and
you needed to score.
But it makes Sam Darnold drive the field. The guy can't throw the football because of his oblique.
So we get to this. I don't even say will, can Sam Darnold simply manage a game against the Rams and the Seahawks still win?
Oh, for sure. For sure, especially if the Rams team that showed up last night shows up in Seattle next week, the Seahawks can absolutely win the game without Sam Darnold needing to be anything more than what he's been the last few weeks.
Because Sam Darnold has fared very poorly against that Rams defense, as you know, Marsh. Do you think it's enough to play great defense? And you're going to have to get what you got out of Kenneth Walker on Saturday night, because Zach Charbonnet, who got injured during the game, Schefter reported today he's out for the season now. So it's just going to be Kenneth Walker in that backfield. Do you think they can just lean on the running game and play great defense against a Rams team that has already seen you twice?
I think it all depends on which Rams show up. Because if the Rams team that showed up the last time they played each other and put up 37 points, I don't know if Seattle can hang with them with the way that Sam Darnold, like his health, and maybe things get a little bit better. He has another week to sort of rest up. But like you said, he hasn't fared well against this Rams team. And I still have that thought, and I'm sure other people do too, can he do it, right? And I know that they beat the 49ers, but he really didn't have to do all that much. And it's been a minute since he's thrown for over 200 yards. And it's been a long time, going back to when they played the Falcons, since he's had more touchdown passes than interceptions. And there was a game mixed in there where he had 0 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions. But going back to the Falcons game, which I believe was, week 14, the last time he threw more touchdowns than interceptions. He had 3. It was a 3-to-1 ratio. So I think for me, it depends on which Rams decide to show up. If it's been the Rams team that if the team that I watched last night shows up, I don't know if the Rams win. Mm-hmm. And I think Seattle gets the job done. But it's Matthew Stafford. We've seen him win a Super Bowl. They've played each other twice already. Who knows? It is going to be a fascinating game, though.
I think it's fascinating beyond the quarterbacks. I think it's fascinating between the two head coaches. What you saw on Saturday night was a repeat of what we've seen in previous Niners-Seahawks games, which is that Mike McDonald is ahead of Kyle Shanahan. Even when the 49ers won in week 1, that was still a very low-scoring game, and Purdy hit Tunges late in that one, put together a miracle drive, not a miracle drive, but put together a last-second drive and hit Tunges for the win. The second game, of course, is when the Seahawks completely shut down the Niners. Injuries or not, Mike McDonald has been ahead of Shanahan. It has not been the case with McVay. McVay has been ahead of Mike McDaniel.
Mike McDonald.
Donald, excuse me. The problem, though, or not the problem, but what's interesting is I thought Dennis Allen outdueled Sean McVay last night.
Oh, yeah, that defense was awesome last night for the Bears. And
that is not a good defense. So that's all scheme.
Well, from a turnover perspective, they are.
But it's like yards, touchdowns. Yeah. Okay, but it is a classic. It almost feels like a Lovie Smith defense where we got to force turnovers.
Right.
That's how we're going to win. Last night was not that. Last night was scheme. It was execution. It was timely blitzes. Matthew Stafford looked lost.
Yeah.
His throw, even when he got the ball off, his throws were inaccurate. That was a different dude until overtime. It was like the first drive they had and overtime is when Stafford played well. And to your point, it was kind of like that in Carolina. First drive and the last drive of the game for the Rams.
Even going back into the regular season, we saw them lose to the Falcons where he just didn't look that good up until a certain point. They started to get back into that game. But, yeah, I think here's the thing. If Sam Darnold has to be Superman or, like, go out there and win the game in his condition right now and all the question marks surrounding if he can win, get to the Super Bowl, I don't know if Seattle wins. But if the Rams team that showed up last week and that has been playing the way that they've been playing as of recent, I don't think he has to do all that much.
Yeah.
Based on the defense, because if their defense plays the way that Chicago did last night, which I think Seattle will probably play even better.
They're capable of it.
Because they're way better at defense than Chicago is. I don't know. I don't know if the Rams get the job done. I really don't.
Well, we're plenty of time to take a look at that NFC Championship game. In fact, we got a first look coming up at 4:45. Jeremy Rutherford is at 4:15. Of course, we got the Gauntlet coming up at 4. But what does success look like for the Cardinals in 2026? Interesting question. Coming off the heels of the winter warm-up, you'll hear some audio from players like Mason Wynn, and it was collected by our very own Brandon Kiley. So we'll get into some of that audio and react to it and just kind of take a discussion. All right, well, normally it's either playoffs or, of course, World Series if you actually have a World Series team, but for the Cardinals, it's neither. So what does success actually look like? We have thoughts on that next on 101 ESPN.
FanDuel is giving all customers a profit boost for the college football championship tonight. It's your last boost of the season. Pick the side you believe in or build a parlay that fits the moment. Then apply your profit boost and go after a boosted payout with everything on the line. Miami versus Indiana tonight. The Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza of the Indiana Hoosiers, has been playing outstanding. Can they cap off their Cinderella season tonight with a championship? I think they can, and FanDuel is the best place to get into the championship action. And when you win, you'll get paid instantly. So visit FanDuel.com/local to get your college playoff profit boosts today. 21 plus and present in Missouri. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost token. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Y'all know me. Like, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna play as hard as I can. And I'm gonna have fun with it. You know what I mean? And I feel like if everybody does that and we're all doing our part, doing our job, I mean, we're gonna put butts in the seats. And I know last year, the fans were a little upset. I don't think it was with us. I think it was more so with the front office and stuff like that. But that's not anything we can control. So we're just gonna go out there and do our jobs. And I think if we're doing our job and we're doing it well, I think fans are gonna show up.
That was Mason Wynn, Cardinals young shortstop, over the weekend at the Cardinals winter warm-up. Brandon Kiley had the audio there. He attended the winter warm-up, so appreciate BK. The legwork there, getting the audio. And that was a question asked by Derek Gould of STLtoday.com on selling the team. That's what Gould asked him. He said, if you're going to sell the team, selling the fan base on the team is how I should say it, not sell the team.
Well, it was funny because Mason Wynn in that not this audio that we played, but within the question, he's like, you mean like actually like selling the team? And they kind of joked like, no.
Yeah, Mason, you don't have the authority. Selling the fan base on the team for 2026. Well, the nugget that was interesting there, of course, was Mason Wynn saying, well, fan base wasn't necessarily, we understand fan base wasn't necessarily ticked off at us. They were ticked off at the front office. Yeah, pretty much. Fan base lost over years, not just last season. The fan base over the years lost trust in the front office. Period. Felt as though they were going to see the same thing year in and year out. Same offseason, same spring training, same 1 month of, hey, this could be better than I thought. Oh, no. And wash, rinse, repeat.
It is interesting that a player said that.
Hey, maybe he knows.
Oh, clearly.
Maybe he knows that he talks to enough people. And
I think it is nice to know, though, as a fan, that the players are aware of why the fan base is upset in not showing up. Mm-hmm. So they know, okay, this isn't necessarily our fault. It may go beyond us on the diamond. Sure. It goes to the front office. I just thought that was interesting that he said that.
Yeah, a little awareness, certainly from Mason Wynn. Chaim Bloom, of course, was there at the winter warm-up, and this is where we want to kind of take the direction of this segment. So here's Chaim Bloom, again, audio courtesy of BK at the winter warm-up, on what success looks like for the Cardinals in 2026. Listen to Bloom.
Yeah, look, there is on some level even understanding, I've tried to be very clear about this, that we are not, prioritizing short-term success over what needs to happen in the long term. Even with that, I think, my mindset is such that you're never going to stop trying to win, and there is some way by which you will always assess where you are by the standings. So that's not going to change. It just also is the case that we can't let that distract us from where we need to go. And, with respect to that bigger goal, regardless of the standings, regardless of what the win total is, you want to see that core continue to take shape, continue to progress. I would like to be able to look up at the end of the 2026 season and feel like that picture of what that group looks like and what it will continue to look like, whether that's stuff that's happened here at the major league level, stuff that's happened throughout the system, and even stuff behind the curtain in the organization that's going to be necessary for us to succeed over time and make really good acquisitions and really smart baseball decisions over time, and that is further ahead than where it was. That's a big part of how I'm going to assess that. There's a little bit of subjectivity to how you look at that, but I do think that is really important to feel like, I like to think that we have charted some kind of course from where we are to where we need to be, to feel that we are moving down that path, that we continue to move down that path. There's different ways to assess that, but that ultimately is something that I think we should look at.
So I want to focus in on something he said. He said that, and again, that was Chaim Bloom over the weekend at the Cardinal winter warm-up. I want to focus on what he said. He said sometimes how to measure that success is subjective, i.e., it may not come in the win column because not everything can be judged by wins and losses. It feels easy and good and comforting to say that everything's about wins and losses.
Right.
To some degree, that's right, because winning is a cure-all. You overlook a lot of things if you're winning.
Right. Look at the Chiefs last year, right? They just
Certainly.
kept winning. And then when it came down to the Super Bowl, all of their flaws that they had all year finally came out.
And
they
what
got
happened
destroyed.
This year? And then what happened this year?
It continued into this year, and they didn't win those close games.
That's why wins and losses for a short period of time can feel very gratifying. But if you have issues like the Chiefs have had, if you have issues, those issues eventually will overcome what you're doing on the field. This is where we're at with the Cardinals. So when he says subjective, the way to measure the success will be subjective. To me, he's clearly saying, don't just assume that we're not making progress or we are making progress simply because of wins and losses. So how do we view success in 2026? I'll start here. Let's remember the Cardinals are in a full rebuild. That can be refreshing for fans, and it can also be unnerving for fans. Unnerving for fans that are dying to get back to what they had under Tony and Walt and Dave Duncan. And I understand, I get that. I was at the back end of that. I saw the transition from Tony and Dave to Mike Matheny and the slow deterioration of what the Cardinals front office under Mo and his guidance became before Bloom took over. So I get it. I understand it. The problem is this is not a quick fix. And it's not going to be a quick fix. It doesn't make any sense for it to be a quick fix because you have to have, if you want sustainable success over multiple years, you got to go through the pain. So what does it look like? Well, to me, player development is absolutely central. One of Bloom's earliest focuses has been on improving the Cardinals' player development pipeline. I don't know if he's been successful at it, and we won't know until the results come in, but I do know that has been his focus, and I think that has been paramount. He has wanted to focus on developing players and getting that pipeline from the minors that goes back up to the majors. That historically has been an area of strength for the Cardinals, but it has fallen behind other teams as we've discussed. So rebuilding a farm system that regularly delivers MLB-ready talent takes time and a multi-year strategy. We are at the beginning point of that. So I think that's where really success is going to come from. But how we determine whether or not the Cardinals have been successful at that, we won't know. We won't know in March. We won't know in April. We may not know in August.
I think the frustrating part of what he said was seeing the core make progress when I felt as if last year should have been the year to see the core make progress. And you can look at it in whatever way that you want to in terms of, well, I had answers about this guy, whether he played well or he did not play well. But I felt the way that they threw guys out there on a daily basis, we didn't get enough of those questions answered because of the amount of playing time that certain guys had last season. And that goes back to the previous regime where I felt like last year, I mean, everybody sort of saw it. That team was not going to be a World Series team. Last year should have been the year to really get this ball moving forward, but Arenado nixed the deal to Houston. And there were times where certain players, we use the word runway, they didn't get that runway. And I feel like that's a frustrating part hearing him say it, but it's also, for me, it's good that he recognizes now that I'm in charge, this is what we're doing. So that gives me a little bit of hope.
Well, it's all part of the job too, to come in with fresh eyes. These are all players up until last draft. These are all players that Mo brought in. So Mo had a vision for how the roster was going to be built with these players. So now Bloom can come in and say, okay, what were the players that Mo was completely wrong on? What were the players that Mo was right on? And what were the players that Mo might be right on, but the development process has been ridiculous, has been stupid. Whether that's at the minor league level or at the major league level, this player's development has been stunted. I see something in this player, but his development's been stunted because of the way that the Cardinals have handled this. Those are the three questions that, among others, that Bloom has to ask. Who's going to be part of my core that's already on the roster? Who needs to go? And what are the players that are still salvageable, but I need to make sure that my process is in place so I know that this player can develop.
You know, we're talking about progress, and you mentioned the win-losses, and you can't really judge progress based on wins or losses. What do you think about this?
This season.
Of course, this season. If the team loses, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not progressing. But I believe if they win and they're finding ways to win games with this roster, I do believe that is progress. Whereas you said or alluded to, like sometimes, and we talked about with the Chiefs, in that short term, if you're finding ways to win, but maybe you have a bunch of glaring holes on your roster, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going in the right direction. I believe with this roster, it does. Do you believe that? Because if this roster can win games and find themselves in a conversation,
you got a higher floor.
For sure. I think you have to give them credit for doing that.
Yeah, you have a higher floor from the standpoint of you're further along than what you thought. So yes, I would let me give you a definitive answer on that. Yes, I think if you win with this group, whatever this group winds up being, there's tangible evidence that you're further along in your rebuild. Yes.
Whereas I look at like the Orioles, right? Like the Orioles have a lot of good young talent. They definitely failed last year. But if they find ways to win, but it doesn't necessarily look good, well, I think that's a little bit different than the Cardinals, right? Obviously, because the roster looks different. Despite them having young players and they bring in some free agents as well, I think that looks different because by the time if they make the postseason, there could be a hole there, and all of a sudden they find themselves out of the playoffs in like the wild card round or something like that, like we've seen in the past.
I also think success, Marsh, and we can kind of wrap up now, but I think that success also looks like, hey, we know how this team, we know what the vision is on the field. We know what the vision is off the field. It is get the big contracts off the book, turn as many assets as you can into multiple assets, rebuild the farm system, have that pipeline going again between the minors and the majors. Like that really, that's the vision off the field. What's the vision on the field? Are you going to be a team that is predicated on speed, defense, pitching? If so, did you bring in pitchers, guys with speed, etc.? If you want to be a team that is predicated on power arms, power bats, well, did you bring that in? Are you drafting that? Because if you're not, and it's just this collection of talent, like it felt like sometimes under Mo, I don't know what the hell you are.
Right.
Some guys have power, some guys have speed. We should be a team now. No, that doesn't necessarily work that way. Because if that power bat is down and you're trying to rely on speed, but you got no power, that's an issue. How are you winning games? I want to see what the identity on the field looks like.
Do you think they need to find that identity in 2026, or can they? I
think find it, no, but I think they need to be working towards it.
Okay.
Fair?
I think that's fair. I think that's totally fair. I mean, this is the first year of starting, this is the year of you're building the foundation.
Sure.
So you need to get that foundation right.
I'll tell you what's not fair, Marsh. The fact that C.J. Stroud ruined an elite defense.
Yeah, he did.
That's next on 101 ESPN. Ask yourself this. Are you constantly tired? You're walking around exhausted. Maybe it's a situation where you don't get into the gym because you don't have the motivation. You're finding it harder to get excited about anything. Go see my friends at Mentality. First of all, you're not alone. I've had those thoughts as well. I mean, my mood used to be all over the place. Felt like I was snapping at everybody. I was constantly just doing the doom scrolling thing, and I didn't feel excited about things. Those could be signs of low testosterone. And if your testosterone, as we get older guys, it starts to dip, it affects things like whether or not you're tired all the time, whether or not you're constantly gaining weight, whether or not you have motivation. Well, these are all things that, with the help of mentality, can help you get back to the old you. You remember that guy. You're sharp at work, you're focused, you're full of energy, full of fun. People enjoy hanging around you. If you haven't felt that way in a while, this is where mentality comes in. They're not some macho, low-T, bro clinic. It's none of that. They're human-centered. Their mission is to figure out what's really going on with your body, your brain, and to help you out. I wouldn't be going into these places like, oh, it's all broed up. It doesn't make any sense to me. Mentality listens. They understand what program you should be on. They're constantly checking out your blood work to make sure nothing else is going on with you and that you're on the right track and you're feeling great. Right now, all new patient labs will be covered in your treatment plan. When it comes to a saving, that saves you $250 right out of the gate. So if you head down there, you tell them that Carey Davis and Anthony Stalter was all about mentality on 101 ESPN. Right now, all new patient labs will be covered in your treatment plan. No better time to get down there, reclaim the old you, the younger you, and it's all with the help of mentality.
Trouble. That ball is up for grabs. Picked off. Back the other way, Jones. He is in for the touchdown.
Joe Buck, courtesy of ESPN, as C.J. Stroud was absolutely a dumpster fire yesterday in New England, where Josh Allen had 4 turnovers and still put his team in a position to win the game. C.J. Stroud was awful and just ruined one of the best defenses in the NFL, if not the best defense in the NFL.
That was bad.
C.J. Stroud absolutely shrank yesterday in Foxborough. From the start, he felt panicky, didn't he?
Oh, 100%.
I mean, first two interceptions, like he was frantic about it. Mm-hmm. And the biggest mistake, of course, his offensive line stinks too.
Yeah,
it's not just on Stroud. Offensive line was terrible yesterday. And I know he didn't have Nico Collins. I get it.
Yeah, you got to dirt those balls, though, you know?
At worst, you take the one sack. You don't flip it up so that the defense has an opportunity to return it for a pick six. By the way, you're up by 3 at that point. The Texans were up 10-7 with just under 11 minutes to play in the second quarter when C.J. Stroud threw that pick six, which is completely unnecessary.
And there were a few drives throughout that game where I'm like, okay, like they're building off of some, you know, there's something here. And then he just reverted back to being awful.
Yes.
It was mind-boggling to me.
Yes, Master Sin said, hoping for completions in the snake pit. Absolutely. C.J. Stroud looked like he was a player that was dropping back, no idea what New England was doing to him, and was hoping to complete the ball. And it wasted a defense that yesterday, had you not watched the game, you wouldn't think the Texans defense was up to par, and it absolutely was. Drake May won much better.
No, not at all.
Drake May had 4 fumbles, lost 2 of them, and threw an interception. Now, the interception was the heave before half, so no big deal there. But Drake May didn't play much better. I thought the biggest moment in the game was when the Texans were trailing by 11, and they faced a fourth and 2 from their own 10-yard line. And without any hesitation, D'Amico Ryan said, field goal.
I thought that was a good move, though. I did not trust that offense to convert.
This is where, by the way, the analytics don't match up with what the head coach has to do when figuring out if he should take the points or go for it. If you're D'Amico Ryans, what on God's green earth gave you any confidence that your quarterback was going to make a play on 4th and 2? And by the way, you were trying to run the ball before you gave up on it, and you couldn't.
Yeah.
And that was a big issue with this Texans offense throughout the course of the season. Woody Marks had his best game last week against Pittsburgh. Woody Marks was not an efficient runner, and the Houston running game was not efficient or effective throughout the course of the year. It was a similar issue to what there's another team playing over the weekend that I thought that was ineffective as well. Denver.
Yeah.
Denver can't run the ball.
No.
At all.
And they won.
So you either turn around and hand the guy the ball 25 times, hoping that just the pure volume will be enough to give yourself a running game, or you did with the Texans. They were like, hey, wait, listen, we got to keep putting the ball in Stroud's hands, figuring it out.
It was terrible. He threw the ball over 40 times. I took more steps to go into the bathroom in the break than they had rushing yards.
It was bad.
It was not good. Like when you're watching a quarterback play the way that he did, and you continue to give him the ball to throw the ball over 40 times. And by the way, it's not like they were getting blown out by any means.
No.
Like, what are you going to do? And this is the reason why I didn't think the Texans were Super Bowl bound. Yes, they have a great defense. It's not like so does Denver and so does Seattle. And but at least they have a semblance of an offense. I just did not believe in what C.J. Stroud in Houston, their offense. I did not believe in it whatsoever because I watched it all year long, and I did not believe that this team could get to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl, and even with their great defense, because of how bad their quarterback has played.
You know, you said something I got to give you credit for, because last Friday I thought, man, Marsh, in my head, I thought Marsh has been drinking. He's been drinking on air. I got to talk to him. Turns out you weren't, and you were actually right. You said, do you give any consideration to starting Davis Mills? And to me, I'm like, absolutely not. No. During that game, I thought to myself, boy, Marsh was onto something. I wonder if D'Amico Ryans goes to Davis Mills.
He should have.
I don't know if it saves the game, but
it's not like you were down by 20 points.
And it's not like C.J. Stroud didn't give you every reason to make the switch to try to jumpstart the offense. Credit the Patriots, though.
Yeah.
The Patriot way, as much as it makes me want to puke, is back.
Yeah.
They win in a very systematic way. Drake May in the offense wasn't great, but they made enough plays. The defense was outstanding, and they allowed their opponent to beat themselves. Sound familiar? This is what the Patriots were under Bill Belichick, save for when Tom Brady had to bail their asses out, which happened a lot. But early on in Belichick's tenure with the Patriots, this is what it kind of looked like. And Mike Vrabel's decision to keep the offense on the field on the 4th and 1 paid off because Drake May found Demario Pop Douglas for the touchdown on the first big play of the game. Kayshon Boutte wound up making one of the best catches of the year.
It was great. But
again, the defense played great. They played sound. And save for all the turnovers by Drake May, that was a very Patriot-esque playoff win.
You know, we've talked about it before, the Patriots and who they've played so far this season and whether or not you truly believe that they're as good of a team as their record has shown. I think the Patriots if they make it to the Super Bowl, that's 3 solid defenses that they managed to win.
Yeah, Chargers, Texans, obviously, and the Broncos. Yeah, good call.
And maybe they play Seattle in the Super Bowl.
Maybe
if they get there, and let's say they win, right? Well, that's pretty impressive of a postseason. Maybe we're looking at it like I don't know, but some of these teams, whatever. Like if you truly believe in them, but those defenses are legit.
Can you believe that we're here again, though? So if the Patriots get past the Broncos, who obviously will not have Bo Nix, if the Patriots get past the Broncos, the matchup will either be Patriots-Rams or Patriots-Seahawks. So all this discussion about, we'll get new blood, and we will, because Drake May will be in his first Super Bowl. Sam Darnold might be in his first Super Bowl. After all this, it might still wind up being a very familiar matchup.
Well, you know what I find fascinating? We're talking about, the Patriots are back. You just mentioned it. I think it would be ironic that a Patriots quarterback in his second year took on a Rams team with a guy who is a quarterback that has won a Super Bowl already. And it's almost like history is repeating itself. I would assume that the Rams would be the favorite heading into that game if that's the case, despite the seeding. But we've seen this show happen before.
Yeah, that's
over 20 years ago.
I hadn't thought about that. Leave it to our storyline guy, Andrew Marsh, to come up with that. But you're absolutely right. That's interesting. By the way, I was looking at this today, and I'm going off the top of my head. I believe the Rams would be a 3-point favorite over the Patriots.
Oh, okay.
They would be a 7.5-point favorite of the Broncos.
Okay.
The Seahawks would be an 8.5-point favorite of the Broncos, and I think the Seahawks would be a 3.5-point favorite of the Patriots. Now, of course, that will change depending on how the two teams look and injuries and things like that this weekend. But those are the early lines. So if you're hoping for a close game, you'll get it if the Patriots are in, or a close line, I should say.
Right,
you'll get it. If the Broncos, obviously, that'll be Marsh's worst nightmare.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We'll get into it, but a Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl would be devastating for me.
You may get it.
I know.
Sports Six Pack is next. I don't think you will. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. We only got one today. It's only me and it's only Marsh. Jamie will be back with us tomorrow. Carey will be back with us tomorrow. So just one Sports Six Pack today. Send in your questions to the Air Comfort Service text line. Anything you want to ask about, send it in. We'll get to them next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues fall to the Oilers last night by a final score of 5-0. Steve Ott will serve as the Springfield Thunderbirds head coach for the remainder of the season, and head coach Jim Montgomery will take over the Blues power play. The Blues will be back in action tomorrow, taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Tonight we'll have the National Championship for you at 5:30. Pregame kickoff is at 6:30 as Indiana takes on Miami. We have our Sports Six-Pack coming up next, so get your questions into the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. We'll answer some questions next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
Refreshed by Urban Chestnut. Urban Chestnut Swickle Light Premium Light Beer. Live your lifestyle, St. Louis.
All right, time for the Sports Six-Pack. Anything you want to discuss? 314-399-9646 of the Air Comfort Service text line with Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. Marsh, fire away.
Question number 1.
All right, from the 314, what happens with the players that are up here now that weren't properly developed? Is it too late to develop them now? And that is in reference to the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, that's a good question. That kind of goes back to what we discussed before. I made the comment of one of the 3 questions, among others, that Bloom has to ask himself is, out of the players that Mo hand-selected for his vision, who can stay because they can be a part of the next vision? So guys like Mason Wynn, among others. Alec Burleson, I think, falls into that category too. Which players need to be turned into assets for trades or open spots for guys that you want to get a look at, such as Wilson Contreras, Sonny Gray, Nolan Arenado. And then the last question is, and this one I think is more difficult to answer, but it goes hand in hand with the question that was just asked, is out of the players that are still here that Mohan selected for his vision, which ones do you need to see more of, and they knowing that they didn't necessarily get the proper development? Mm-hmm. So how do you get more out of the players that maybe fall into that category? Jordan Walker is a perfect example of this. Clearly has talents, but was he developed the right way under Mo? Mm-hmm. Ivan Herrera, if he stays healthy, clearly talent. Was he developed the right way under Mo and the Cardinals from a catching standpoint? I think that the biggest way to course correct that stuff has got to be done in the offseason.
Oh, for sure. And these guys are young, too. It's not like they're 27 years old. They're still very young, so they're like a ball of clay, right? You can still mold them. They're still fresh. It's not like you put them in and everything is set in stone. So I think that there's still time to make sure that these guys are firing on all cylinders at the rate that you need them to.
How you do it, though, is, look, you're a professional. Here is your plan over the winter. This is a Cardinal-related plan. Weight training plan, flexibility plan, all that stuff. Tee work. This is what we want you to be working on in the offseason. And then when it comes to spring training, all that stuff needs to come into play. So how do you develop those players that maybe have not been developed the right way? You start with the winter offseason plan, which is already in place. Bring them to spring training. You take a good look at where they are compared to where they were a year ago. And then you put the necessary pieces in place from hey, you're going to work with this coach all season long, and this is what you're going to be working on. Or you're going to be down in the minors, and you're going to be working with this specific group, and this is what we want to see. It's just having a game plan. And if Bloom does believe that, hey, this was not done the right way with certain guys, then you do your best to figure out what the best approach is. And if they still don't respond, then maybe you don't have the right player.
Question number 2.
From the 636, the SLU Billikens are ranked in the top 25. How far can they realistically go in the NCAA tournament?
Let's start off with the good or the great, and then let's transition to the unknown. The Billikens have been absolutely terrific this season. One of the best stories in college basketball, and they're right here in our backyard, which is extremely exciting. What are they now? 17-1, 18-1. One of the best starts in program history. Undefeated in A10 play. Cracked the top 25. Unbelievable, right? So, do they have the pieces to go far? Their offense has been one of the best in the country. They're averaging among some of the top teams nationally. They rank high in free throw percentage, 3-point made per game, and three-pointers made per game, and the field goal percentage has been effective. I love their balanced scoring. They got multiple players in double figures, so they're not overly reliant on certain players. Even if Robbie Avila is the guy, they still have other players that can complement him in the offense. Do they play good defense? Yes. Opponents are shooting under 37% against them. So that places them well within that top defensive marking in terms of nationally. Excellent on the defensive glass, which of course provides more scoring opportunities for you, less scoring opportunities for the opponent, and the home court advantage has been great. Here's the unknown. We don't know how they compare to higher ranked teams. Mm-hmm. We don't know how they're going to compare against some of the big dogs, the other top teams nationally.
Right.
They're going to be largely, not completely, but largely untested before they get to the conference tournament and then, of course, the March Madness tournament. But do they have the pieces? My word, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Avila, Dunlap, Deion Brown, among others. I mean, they have got the balance scoring, they got the defense, they got the rebounding. I just don't know how they're going to compare against the stronger competition. That's all.
But I do think
we just haven't seen it.
Right. And we won't see it the rest of the way until the tournament. But I do believe that style plays well in the NCAA tournament. That's why you see some of these mid-major teams go far in the tournament compared to the teams that basically play on strictly talent alone.
Sure.
You know,
or a team that might have a dominant strength, like Virginia always had a suffocating defense.
But they're not well-rounded.
Not well-rounded. If you get the wrong refereeing crew, that team, you're done. You're screwed.
Right. And it's just one game, right?
Exactly.
Just one game. All you got to do is win one and then survive in advance.
Can you hit your threes? Yes. Do you have balance scoring? Yes. Do you play excellent defense? Yes. Do you rebound well? Yes. So I really like SLU. They have all the makings on paper of a team that can do some damage in the tournament. Mm-hmm. How they fare against better competition, we don't know.
Question number 3.
South City Power Hoosier wants to know, apologies if you guys have already talked about this, but do you think the Steve Ott thing is a promotion or a demotion?
We did talk about it, but not in the sense of how you're wording it. So let's get into it and let's be real. I think that it's a demotion. I think it's a way for a very well-liked and respected coach within the Blues organization, who unfortunately, as he oversaw the power play has not improved, and they don't want to just outright fire him. So they're providing Steve Ott an opportunity to showcase what he can do at a level that has underperformed in the Blues minors, which is the Springfield Thunderbirds. So they're in my eyes, they're kind of doing Steve Ott a solid because they love him, they respect him, and they think he's a good coach, but just hasn't done it right now at the NHL level to get more experience as a head coach. And whether that is he does a great job and he stays in Springfield, or he does a great job and he gets another NHL head coaching job or assistant coaching job, they're at least given the opportunity. That's how much they love and respect Steve Ott. But look, the power play's been a mess.
Oh,
they've needed to do something. So this is kind of I guess in some ways it's a demotion.
Yeah, it's like a lower level win-win scenario.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I can describe it. It's a win for him in terms of getting a chance to be the guy at a lower level, of course, in the AHL. And like you said, power play duties now shift to Jim Montgomery, who we've seen in the past Did pretty
done a
well
great job
when he was assistant coach.
Certainly. And we'll know, too, if he comes in, the power play looks much better. Okay. Unfortunately, it was a Steve Ott issue. Mm-hmm. If it doesn't, then, hey, you know what?
Probably the players.
Probably players.
Probably is.
Steve Ott deserves another opportunity someplace within this organization. And guess what? He's in Springfield.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Cat Dad Gamer says maybe Otter will use the AHL experience to get better. That's the hope, at least. Bingo. Couldn't agree more.
Well, and also, if you think about it, this is a guy who has been with the Blues for quite some time as a coach, and the younger players in the AHL, what better person to, sort of learn from and understand what it takes to be an NHL player than Steve Ott. So,
absolutely, yeah.
Who's been within the organization, and there's cohesiveness throughout the organization. I'm not saying there wasn't before, but now you definitely know, hey, this guy was literally on the staff.
Maybe he'll be a better head coach at that level than he was, running the power play.
Who knows?
I'll relate it to, and I think let me beat a dead horse here. If it related to our industry, right? If fast lane ratings weren't very good, and fast lane ratings are strong, thank you, listeners. But fast lane ratings weren't good. They say to me, "Hey, man, we like you, we respect you, we don't want you completely off air, but you're going to do nights and weekends. You're going to do nights and weekends for a little bit." Mm-hmm. I can either view that as a demotion, which it is, or I could view it as a demotion that could turn into another opportunity to get back on air if I improve the ratings at nights and weekends.
Mm-hmm. It's better than not having a job.
It's better than not having a job. Yep. It's not, afternoon drive, but there you have it. All right, we wrap it up there.
Yeah.
What are we, 3 questions?
We got 3 questions. Well, this is usually why we have 2 parts to this. But
yeah. It's our fault.
We have a shorter show today.
We do. 5:30, by the way. 5:30, Indiana, Miami, pregame at 5:30. The kickoff. Supposed to be 6:30, probably be about 9:05.
Probably. You got to get the band out there for a couple tunes.
I'm only half kidding on that. Andrew Marsh, Anthony Stalter. Did Ben Johnson make the right call in Chicago last night? And Marsh, you posed this question, and I purposely did not ask you what you meant by this because I think I know why you asked this question. We'll get into it next on 101 ESPN. Hey, how'd you do this weekend? Did you know that New England was going to crush C.J. Stroud and the Texans defensively? Did you know Kenneth Walker was going to have a big game and that Matthew Stafford wasn't going to light up the Rams? If you knew all this, then why aren't you playing on Underdog? Underdog gives you the opportunity to make your entries count and win money all playoff long, and playing on Underdog is easy. Choose whether or not certain players are going to go higher or lower in their stats. So touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, you get the idea. I liked Matthew Stafford to go higher than 34.5 pass attempts against Chicago. Didn't have a lot of yards, didn't have any touchdowns, but wound up throwing a lot of passes, and that one wound up being correct. If, again, you thought that Kenneth Walker was going to have a big rushing performance and you think that he's going to do the same thing against the Rams in the NFC Championship game, play on Underdog. If you get your entries right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Download that app today. Use my promo code Anthony, just my first name. You're going to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, use the promo code Anthony at Underdog, where you can make plays and win money. Must be 18 or older and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concern with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
in motion. Williams drifting, sprinting for space, in all kinds of trouble, put it up for grabs to the end zone. He got it for the touchdown. They've done it again.
Mike Tirico, NBC and Peacock last night. You know, Mark, some people say the NFL is scripted.
A lot of people say that.
A lot of people say that. If the NFL is scripted, then the damn NFL jumped the shark last night with that Caleb Williams touchdown pass to Cole Kmet. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've seen it by now. Even if you didn't watch the game, you went back and watched the highlight of Caleb Williams on a 4th and 4 with 27 seconds remaining. The Bears at the 15-yard line, or 14-yard line to be precise, dropping all the way back to the 40 and then heaving the ball into the end zone where Cole Kmet was there to accept said pass. I thought for sure they would review it. Cole Kmet would have pushed off from the DB.
I don't think he did.
And he would have caught the touchdown pass. No. When they showed it, clearly no pass interference.
It was really bad defense.
There was some jockeying there, but it's like the cornerback, I don't know, got lost. Didn't know where the ball was. Completely blown coverage. Unbelievable play. Mm-hmm. And the storyline, if you're doing like the storyline writing, sometimes they got those memes that are really creative.
Yeah.
Where you see the guy is like, all right, this is what we want this week.
Yeah.
The Chicago Bears, and like the rest of the room's like, no, not the Bears storyline again. No, hear me out. That's what it felt like. Somebody. I stood there. Anyway, I'm like, what am I looking at with this? You run that same play. Caleb Williams does the same thing. You don't complete that pass 99 times out of 100.
Right.
But it did last night. It was unreal.
Yeah, it almost felt like a team of like destiny, right? Where they just continue to come back and win games. And despite what you actually think of the team as a whole, Jamie, they find ways to win in crazy situations. And we were texting last night, man, if the Bears go down and they score a touchdown here, they're going for 2.
So that's when you posed the question, did Ben Johnson make the right call in Chicago? And I purposely didn't ask you what you meant because I thought that's the thing that you were going to go for. Did Ben Johnson screw up by not going for 2? And you and I, we have no idea what our thoughts are on this. Mm-hmm. By the way, like Dr. Sander in the snake pit goes, the cornerback on the play for the Rams was like, no human person can make this throw. I'm good. Well done, Dr. Sander. Here's my thought process on kicking the extra point and possibly going overtime. I was okay with it for the sole fact of, one, your defense was playing outstanding all night long. You got to take everything in if you're going to make that decision to go for 2 or not. And Ben Johnson thought, you know what? My defense is playing really well. Yes, the Rams are stunned right now, but Caleb Williams, don't forget, just ran back 40 yards.
Right. And their short game had been awful.
You had gone for it on multiple short and distance. One time, DeAndre Swift thought he was going to hurdle over 2 defenders and got absolutely body bagged.
Yep.
Another short down conversion, Caleb Williams overthrew a receiver and it wound up being a pick. Mm-hmm. You go back to last week, in fact, Caleb Williams has multiple interceptions on 4th down. And essentially, a 2-point conversion is a 4th down call. There's no down after that, no redo. This is it. So Ben Johnson kicking the extra point there, I didn't have any problem with it. I was stunned, though. I was stunned that he did it. He has gone for it when he was all the way backed up.
Yeah.
I was stunned he didn't do it. But if you watch how that thing played out, again, the defense had been on fire. Mm-hmm. Matthew Stafford had done against you. Mm-hmm. The only thing that was beating you was Kyron Williams. You won the coin toss. You kicked. You forced a quick 3-and-out. Mm-hmm. One of the worst play calls of the weekend came from Sean McVay on that pitch to Corum, which was dead on arrival.
Yep.
You got the ball back, and your quarterback was red hot at that point.
It was the right move at the time, and you talk about the NFL being scripted. If it was scripted, they have lazy writers because that was the exact same sequence that happened on Saturday in the Bills and Broncos game.
Right.
It's the exact same thing, except Brandon Cooks actually tried to catch the football.
DJ Moore did not.
DJ Moore gave up.
Very true. Very true. Yeah,
I don't blame Caleb Williams for that at all.
That last throw was not on Caleb Williams. The Rams DB ran a better route than DJ Moore on that play.
Great play by Cam Curl.
Yep.
Diving play. I don't know.
It was
Do you like the play call? I asked the question earlier about throwing that a little bit deeper.
I'm okay. I was okay with it. The Josh Allen one felt a little different to me, because the Bills were able to run the ball pretty effectively. Now, Kyle Monunga did have some decent runs in that game. DeAndre Swift did not. Mm-hmm. But I thought the Rams had actually done a pretty good job overall bottling up the Bears' rushing attack for the most part. I was okay with him attacking those defensive backs. The Rams' weakness defensively is the defensive backs. And the Rams, by the way, had zero pressure on Caleb Williams all night. Mm-hmm. Outside of that play, the miracle throw. Name another time you thought Caleb Williams was under duress.
I didn't think so. He didn't even run the ball that much.
No.
I think there was maybe one time.
He ran the one. He picked up the play in OT.
And usually he scrambles and makes something happen, but he didn't really even need to run the ball because there was no pressure.
They played back all night. So I didn't have an issue with it. I'm sure some Bears fans are going to be like, "No, you listen, you got to go for 2." I get it, but
hindsight's 20/20. But does your opinion on Caleb Williams change after what you've witnessed, not only last night in the playoffs, but just this season overall? Do you feel different about Caleb Williams than you did last year?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Let's put this in perspective. And by the way, we do need a new Gauntlet contestant. We're going to play the Gauntlet next. So 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. So I'll just say that, and I'll wrap up the point here. In the end, if you're a Bears fan and you watched Williams, 24-year-old, 2024 number 1 pick, the progress that he made from last year to last night was absolutely remarkable. He looked the part of a franchise-altering player at times throughout the course of the season. Did he also show flashes of inconsistency and accuracy and some of the boneheaded decisions he made at USC? Yeah. But not as much as last year. And he had a better year last year, especially given the circumstances, i.e. no coaching, than we thought.
No offensive line.
This year, unbelievable.
Yeah.
They had no offensive line. Yeah. So I got two of my best friends, Doug and Josh in Chicago, love the Bears. They are diehard Bears fans. And I thought, texting with them last night, we were kind of going to go through the misery of the Bears and things like that.
Right.
Both of them, to a man, were like, man, future's bright.
Yeah, I mean.
And that's the way Bears fans should feel.
You should feel that way. But the NFL's weird, right?
Very true.
Look at the Lions.
Yeah.
They had their chance a couple years ago. Even last year, they lose to the Commanders.
Last year was the team. Even though that one lost in the NFC Championship game 2 years ago, last year that was the one that lost to the Washington Commanders, if you go watch quarterback, you know the Lions had something special last year.
Yeah.
And they blew it. So you're right, it is. It's a weird league. Chad in the Snake Pit, don't listen to Bacon Wrapped Wiener. What's the number for the Gauntlet? 314-399-9646. 314-399-9646. It is not what Bacon Wrapped Wiener said in the Snake Pit.
I didn't see that one.
Don't call that one unless you have an emergency. Gauntlet next on 101 ESPN.
warriors. 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you survive the Gauntlet?
Brought to you by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection.
406. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. No Jamie, no Carey. Both guys will be back tomorrow. Jamie traveling with the Blues. We got Nick on the line. What's up, Nick?
How's it going, Anthony?
Everything's
Happy
good.
to be here.
Yeah, appreciate you listening today. You off today? You enjoying things, or you working like Marsh and I?
I'm working. I'm heading home, getting ready for this Hoosier game. I'm excited.
Are you an IU fan, grad?
I'm not a grad, but my parents met at IU. My aunt and uncle met at IU. I have 2 cousins that went to IU, and both of my brothers went to IU. I'm named after a bar in Bloomington as well. So.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So I don't have to ask you who you're going for. Go Canes, right?
Sir. No. Hoosiers.
Well, enjoy, man. Enjoy the game. I think it's going to be a good one. But who knows, man? Indiana's passed every test this year, and they've done it with flying colors, so maybe it'll be a blowout. All right, so would you like Marsh or me today in round 1?
I'm going to take on fellow Lancer Marsh today.
Okay, all right. So Andrew Marsh is going to spin that wheel, and then he is going to go find, I think, Bradford Bruns. I think Bradford's hanging around here so that Bradford can run the board. But first and foremost, Nick, go ahead and tell Marsh to spin that wheel.
Marshy, spin that wheel.
All right, here we go. Marsh, you got to give me the launch codes, too.
Here you go.
Thank you, sir.
I'm assuming Bradford is going to come in, and then he can let you know what the category is.
Bradford's on his way here. I cannot see the wheel, Nick, and neither can Marsh. So Marsh is heading out. Bradford is stepping in. Bradford's on the board tonight for Indiana and Miami. So, Bradford, you can see the wheel. What do we got?
I can indeed. Line change underway. It's appropriate. We've got hockey.
Okay. All right. So, Nick, I didn't ask you. What did you want? Now that the wheel's done and we know what it is, what did you want?
I would have preferred football, but let's see how hockey goes.
Okay. Now, Marsh is very strong in hockey, but it doesn't mean that you can't do well today. Bradford, there you go. There's your copy. Bradford, do you write hockey, or do you? Or is
Actually, that is Grant's forte.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So these are 4 questions written by Grant Francis. Each question is worth 2 points, Nick. If you ask for the options, those questions become worth 1 point. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. In his career, which team has Jordan Kyrou scored the most goals against? In his career, which team has Jordan Kyrou scored the most goals against?
It would make sense to be a division rival, but let's go ahead and take the options to be safe.
All right. Not my San Jose Sharks. Sharks are one option. Chicago Blackhawks or the Minnesota Wilds. Sharks, Blackhawks, Wild.
I'm going to go Wild. Final answer.
All right, Nick, question number 2. Can you tell us the team that drafted Nick Bjugstad in the 2010 NHL Draft?
I'm going to go Anaheim Ducks. Final answer.
All right. Question number 3, Nick. How many different teams has Robbie Fabry played for in his NHL career?
I'm going to go 3. Final answer.
And finally, Nick, Joel Hofer was drafted in which round of the 2018 NHL Draft?
Ooh. I will take the options, please.
They are round number 4, 5th round, or 6th round.
I am going to go 4th round, please. Final answer.
Okay.
All right, let's bring back Marsh from the Cone of Silence. Nick, did you use the options on that last one?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I thought you did. I heard the answer. All right, Marsh is going to step into Carey Davis's normal spot here. How's the Cone of Silence there, Marsh?
Oh, it was silent. Yeah, I was looking at X or Twitter, and I saw this meme of Thanos, and it was basically talking about how the last 15 years has featured the Patriots or the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And it was like Thanos, who's like, you guys prayed for the Chiefs' downfall. Where did it lead you? Right back to me. And it's a picture of the Patriots logo on his face. I thought it was
pretty
funny.
good.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Man, people are creative. All right, Marsh. Hockey is your category today.
All right.
Hockey, yes. Bradford, do you want to do the honors with the pack the lunch?
You know what you have to do, Marshy, on MLK Day. Pack that lunch, buddy.
All right. Question 1. In his career, which team has Jordan Kyrou scored the most goals against?
Jeez, I have no idea. I have a feeling it's Minnesota, but let's take the options.
San Jose Sharks, Chicago Blackhawks, Minnesota Wild.
Wow, give me the Minnesota Wild. Final answer.
Question number 2, Marshy. Can you tell us the team that drafted Nick Bjugstad in the 2010 NHL draft?
Oh, man. He's played for a few different teams. Is it the Wild? No. I'm leaning towards the Wild again, but I think it might be Pittsburgh. It's not Edmonton. He did have a stint there. He had a stint with Arizona, Utah. I'm going to go with the Penguins. Final answer.
All right. Question 3. How many different teams has Robbie Fabry played for in his NHL career?
All right. So he's with the Blues. He's with the Red Wings. He's with the Ducks. I think he was with another team, but I don't know if he played. I'm trying to think here. If there's another team that is eluding me. I'm going to go with 3. I think it's the Blues, Wings, and Ducks. 3, final answer.
And finally, Joel Hofer. He was drafted in which round in 2018?
Oh, man. He was either a second or a third round pick. I think he was a third round pick. I'll go with third round, final answer.
Okay. This was a good one today. Nick versus Marsh in hockey. Start with question 1. In his career, which team has Jordan Kyrou scored the most goals against? Marsh said, I want to say the Minnesota Wild. Let me just get those options to make sure. Heard the Minnesota Wild were an option and landed on the Wilds. Nick also went with the Wilds. Correct answer is
the Minnesota Wild.
Both of you needed the options. We got a 1-1 tie.
Nice.
Which team drafted Nick Bjugstad in the 2010 NHL draft? Without the options, Nick went with the Anaheim Ducks. Ooh. Marsh, without the options, went with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Correct answer is...
This would be the outlier. The Florida Panthers.
Florida Panthers is the correct answer. So we still have a 1-1 tie. If it makes you feel any better, Marsh, the Penguins were an option.
Okay.
So even if you listened to the options, you probably would have went with the Penguins anyways. So again, we got a 1-1 tie between Nick and Marsh. How many different teams has Robbie Fabry played for in his NHL career? Nick said 3. Marsh went through the options and debated whether or not he played for 3 or if he was on another team and played for that other team and would have went with 4. Marshy landed on 3. Correct answer is...
Blues, Wings, Ducks, and that's it. 3.
Nice job, guys. Neither of you needed the options on that one.
Right.
So again, we're all tied up 3-3. Does it come down to this? Joel Hofer was drafted in which round of the 2018 NHL draft? Marsh said it's either the second or the third round. You settled on 3. Nick went with the 4th round. If it's the 3rd round, Marsh wins. If it's the 4th round, Nick wins, and we're going to have to ask Bradford to stay for one more segment as Marsh goes to the penalty box. If it's any other round, we got ourselves our walk-off today on MLK Day. Nick.
You have chosen wisely.
It was the fourth round. Ian knocked off Andrew Marsh in hockey, which is no small feat. Man. Marsh is going to the penalty box. Bradford's got to hang on for another segment. And Nick, you're going to be back tomorrow to take on either me, Jamie, or Carey. Nice job, man.
Good job, Nick.
Thank you. Cannot wait.
And hey, that's a good. Hey, maybe that's a good sign too. You're set up for a great night, hopefully too, with your Indiana Hoosiers.
Oh, I hope so. I'm ready.
There you go. Well, hopefully when we talk to you tomorrow, you're in a good mood.
I hope so too. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, nice job. Thanks, Nick. Oh, Marshy, you know the one that got you.
Any of them that I missed, right?
I think the one that got you is if I'm reviewing the tape, you had the Minnesota Wild.
I did, yeah. Oh no, you're right.
You had Minnesota.
Yeah.
And at least would have got you into the tiebreaker.
Yeah, it would have. That's tough. Yeah. And honestly, if I take the options for the Nick Bukestad thing, I would have landed on Florida. I totally forgot about that. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, it is what it is.
Nick, nice job to Nick.
Yeah,
now,
terrible guy, by the way.
Some in the snake pit. Some in the snake pit are pointing this out. Droid FX. Congratulations, your Broncos, by the way. Droid FX. Nick, you are an awful person. Bacon-wrapped wiener. Nick is a horrible individual. At Splashback Deuce. This guy's a dirtbag. And TD 312. Nick is a bad man. Wow. All those came in virtually at the same time.
Wow.
Now, Nick, if you're still listening, you're not familiar, Marsh only beats horrible human beings.
Only nice guys.
Or, I'm sorry, nice guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, by definition, means that you've done some bad things in your life. But you know what? You're going to be back tomorrow, so it doesn't matter. Round 2 with the Gauntlet tomorrow with Nick. Marsh, again, he goes to the penalty box. Bradford, you cool to stay another round here?
Heck yeah, guys.
All right. Bradford Brown's pinch hitting right now for Andrew Marsh. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We got to get to Jeremy Rutherford, so JR will join us next on 101 ESPN.
The Redbird Report, your front row seat to all things Cardinals. From the dugout to the diamond, BK and T-Bone go deep with the latest news, notes, and analysis. Watch the Redbird Report on YouTube or listen online at 101ESPN.com.
One of the things that might be nerve-wracking for people is when they're trying to buy a house and you don't know what you need. You don't know how to be prepared. Well, that's where my guy Stewie comes in. And Stewie, I wanted to call you for that exact reason today. How can our listeners that are purchasing a home be better prepared?
Well, number one is obviously get pre-approved. All lenders talk about this, but it's really important that you get it done. You're all set to go. Sellers want to make sure that that you can afford the house that you're buying. One of the things that we're encouraging right now with people is if you're afraid of the interest rates, if you're afraid of the payment, don't be. We have a program called a 2-1 buy down. This requires a little bit of cooperation from the seller. You can call me and I'll explain to you what it's all about. And what happens is you end up with an interest rate 2% below the prevailing rate for 1 year. It's a great opportunity. Let's say today's rate 6.25. You're going to have 4.25% interest rate this year. Next year 5.25, and then it goes back to the normal interest rates. Now, what this does for you, really quick, is it gives you a lower payment until those interest rates do drop down. Do it now. Buy the house now. It's a buyer's market right now. Get the price you want to pay and the house of your dreams without it getting pulled from under your feet. When it gets to be low interest rates, there'll be more competition. you won't be able to get it.
Okay, but how do I get pre-approved? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do all the things that Stewie's just talking about? Well, pick up the phone, either call or text Stewie, 314-324-4440. If you miss that number, you can always Google the Bagalone, but pick up the phone and either call or text Stewie. He's going to help you. I guarantee you on this. He helped me. He's helped Jamie. He's helped thousands of listeners here that listen to 101 ESPN. So you could be next. Just got to pick up the phone, call, do it with urgency. Stewie, have a great day, and thanks for all you do.
Anthony, have a good one.
NMLS number 226715.
Time for the Rutherford Report with our Blues insider, Jeremy Rutherford, on 101 ESPN.
JR is brought to you by Evergreen Wealth Strategies, helping everyday people every day. Visit evergreen-ws.com.
It's Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. With Andrew Marsh, I'm Anthony Stalter. Marsh sitting in the penalty box following a Gauntlet loss in hockey, which I'm stunned because, Marsh, you are outstanding at hockey.
Oh, I appreciate that, Anthony. It just didn't work out for me today.
That's okay.
You know?
Hey, man. It happens.
Yeah, I'm sitting in the penalty box, much like the Blues did a lot last night.
Oh, dang. Well, joining us to talk about, that's a transition in the radio biz.
Sure
nice
is.
job, Marsh. Joining us to talk about all things Blues is our Blues insider with The Athletic. He is Jeremy Rutherford, and he's joining us right now via the Collier and Thompson phone line. What's up, JR?
Not too much. I got to stick up for Marshy here, though. I was listening to the Gauntlet as I work on a story, and when you are the person who is supposed to know the most about that sport, there's a little bit of pressure that comes. I did a trivia with TMA over at St. Gabriel's a couple years ago, and, I don't know how to change a tire. I don't know how to paint a house. I don't know how to do anything. But when you sit down at the table and they look to you like, hey, we've got a Blues category here, and you're going to help us kill it, you're thinking, okay, well, I can do pretty good. Then they start asking questions like who has the most shorthanded goals in franchise history. How are you supposed? Then they ask the coach with the best winning. I don't know who coached 60 games and has a high win percentage. So Marshy, I feel for you there. And I couldn't remember on Hofer either whether he was a fourth or fifth rounder, but I guess that's one of the ones that got you. So
it happens to the best of us, JR.
I hear you.
JR, I do feel you on the trivia stuff because sometimes we'll be at trivia nights and people will be like, oh, well, sports are covered. Depending on what category it is, like you could inevitably we'll get which 1947 Cardinals pitcher did blah blah. I'm like, I don't know, guys. How do you not know this? Like,
somebody else does apparently.
Yeah.
And the best too is, and I get it. We wake up and this is what we do for our job. But I always want to tell people there's 600,000 of you. You're bound to come up with the right answer.
Right.
There's one of me, so it might be a little tougher.
Oh man! All right, JR. I don't want to start with last night's game. I want to start with the news that Steve Ott is now at least the interim head coach of the Springfield Thunderbirds. We were asked point blank, was this a demotion? In my opinion, it would have to be based on the power play. Now that was going, but there's a lot of respect for Steve Ott within the organization, and they at least want to see him have an opportunity to be a head coach and either stay there or maybe get another job somewhere in the NHL. Is that how you view it as well?
Yeah, well, I could see where, somebody looking at the story, the headline could say, he's going from the NHL to the AHL. But I think this is a situation where Steve Ott, he's in his 9th season as an NHL assistant coach. And I remember it was a few years ago, he was looking to be kind of a hot commodity. Could he be the next young NHL coach? And, things started to go south with the Blues a little bit. And it's kind of based on your team and how they're doing. That's usually where the top assistant coaches come from. And when the team's not playing well, it's tough for Steve to be atop of everybody's list. And then also he doesn't have head coaching experience. So, listening to Jim Montgomery today, he said that, Steve's going to get a chance to go down and run a program in the second best league in the world. And he's going to get his feet wet doing this, and we'll see how it goes. And, so whether he's going to rejoin the Blues, in the press release, the Blues say that he's just doing it for the remainder of the year. Could that be extended if he does well and likes it? I suppose it could be. But to me, it's not as much of a demotion as it is a chance for them to put one of their own in Springfield, have great communication with that organization in terms of how the Blues prospects are looking. Steve can teach them what's going on in St. Louis, and then if things work out, then maybe they extend that.
JR, if the Blues are to fix their power play, do you think that will simply just fix everything, or do you believe that there are more holes in this team's game? Like, I look at the statistics, and the team above them in power play percentage is the Colorado Avalanche. Well, they seem to be doing just fine outside of their power play. What do you think is the right recipe for the Blues? Does it start with the power play and then lead to other aspects of their game?
Well, it would certainly help, but I think the list is pretty long of things that they need to fix to get everything going. And I don't think, getting the power play right is suddenly going to lead to, 5-on-5 offense and, core players, key guys, highly paid guys, all of a sudden putting up numbers. I think it's going to take a lot more than that. So we'll see what happens with the power play. Look, it was Jim Montgomery who ran the power play as an assistant coach for the Blues when he was here as an assistant under Craig Berube. Things didn't work out well. They handed it off to Steve Ott, and Steve Ott, the unit took off. And so, now Jim Montgomery is going to come in and run it, he said today, at least to the Olympic break. So, you're looking at 8 games there, and we'll see what happens. But to me, it doesn't matter if it's Steve Ott, Wayne Gretzky, Jim Montgomery, whomever. If you don't have guys executing, you get the puck in the zone and you get set up and nobody's shooting. Like, Steve Ott can sit there and say, listen, if you don't shoot the puck, you're sitting the bench. Like, guys still aren't shooting the puck. So, to me, it's going to come down to execution. But, Steve Ott has run a good power play in the NHL, and for the past few years, it hasn't been as good. So I don't want to take him off the hook, but I don't think that they have the personnel right now, whoever the coach is, that would get a team to play better than the Blues have been on the power play this year.
Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues Insider with The Athletic, joining us right now on 101 ESPN. All right, if we go back to last night's game, JR, I think one of the biggest frustrating aspects of last night, I'm sure it was for you too, not just for fans, they're coming off the shutout against the Hurricanes, one of their best games of the year, and then, of course, they end the Lightning's 11-game winning streak, only to turn around and lose 5-0 to the Oilers. Sometimes you get Connor McDavid, but that wasn't a 3-2 loss or a 2-1 loss. That was a 5-0 loss where all the same problems were on display. Do you think that could be a one-off and there is actually more positives to be gained out of the last 3 games? Or do you think that just kind of that game last night summarizes the Blues' biggest issues?
I don't. I would like to sit here and say that, 2 big wins over Carolina and Tampa Bay is different than the other 4 times this season. The Blues have won 2 games. I think this was going to be the 5th time they had a chance to put together a 3-game winning streak. So you'd like to sit here and say those are 2 great opponents. They played well against them. They pulled out the wins. This is different, but I don't think it isn't. I mean, you look at last night, aside from Connor McDavid, you're just don't show up and bring the attributes that you did in the wins over Carolina and Tampa Bay. And I think Luke Korak threw out the stat, I'll probably butcher it here, but I think when the Blues have had a chance to go for 3 straight wins, they've been outscored something like 27-9 in that game. 27 a night. So they're getting blitzed by 6 goals per game when they're trying to go for that third win. So none of the games. So, you go back to last year, guys, we said they couldn't win a third straight game. They were the last team in the league to do so. And then when they did, they won 12 in a row. So, can we sit here and say it's not possible to win 3 in a row? Yeah, we can do that, but they did it last year. But this year, it just seems like every third game that they try to win is just an absolute egg. So yeah, I need to see a lot more to sit here and say that the wins over Carolina and Tampa were different, and last night was just something that was out of line.
Well, JR, if you are going to start stacking wins, you need both goaltenders firing on all cylinders. And it just seems like this team plays differently, or things just look different when Benner is in the net. What are you seeing out of this team when he is between the pipes versus when Joel Hofer is in between the pipes?
Yeah, Joel Hofer, the third rounder, right?
Actually, Jared's a fourth rounder.
Fourth rounder.
Yeah.
I had third rounder in my head.
If he was a third rounder, JR, I want to be sitting where I'm at in the penalty box here in the studio.
Yeah, so I think this. I think that you can look at it a couple different ways. You can say that they're playing better in front of Hofer, and that's true. But I think there are reasons teams play better in front of certain goalies, and I think it goes back to the confidence that they get with them in the net. They don't think about that end of it, and then they go out and execute, the game plan and the strategy, the system. And I think that's what we're seeing a bit with the team in front of Joel Hofer right now. That said, you can look at some of the goals against Jordan Binnington and say that, gosh, he had no chance on those, and that's right. But I think just right now there is a vibe with this team with Joel Hofer, and some of the saves he's making are keeping them in the games like Tampa Bay, like Carolina, and then they're scoring a key goal or, coming up with a key goal. So, I want to give Joel Hofer some credit for the way they are playing in front of them instead of saying this is just some randomness, that they do play well in front of him and not Jordan Binnington.
Last one for me, JR. Any update on Oscar Sundqvist, all that, what went down last night with the cut? Any update on Sonny?
Yeah, nothing today. I'm not with the team, full disclosure. They stayed in Edmonton, practiced today. The latest update, same that you guys had last night, was that deep cut, not serious, missed the Achilles. They don't know how long he's out, but I would suspect it would be some time, but no 24-hour follow-up at this point.
JR, appreciate you, man. By the way, at JP Rutherford on X, give our guy Jeremy Rutherford a follow. Most of you probably are. Check out his great work at The Athletic. We'll talk to you again next week, JR.
Yeah, we'll do it. And it's over on the game tonight, right? Over?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
46.5?
Yeah, I think has it dropped that much? I think it's 48.
Okay.
I like Miami to keep it close.
Well, see, listen, I come to my sports guys who should know these things.
Right.
This is like a trivia question. I come to you guys.
JR, always take the over. It's no fun when you're going with the under.
That's very true.
Right.
Yeah, especially for a title game.
Thanks, boys.
All right, JR, thank you, man. See ya. We will have our national championship predictions coming up. Just as a reminder, we're only on for the next hour. Pre-game at 5:30. Kickoff is at 6:30. Speaking of bet, we got Bet the Board next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley, St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. We just got done talking with Jeremy Rutherford, our Blues insider with The Athletic. If you missed that interview, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page and you will find all of our interviews and all of our shows there. And it's all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. Blues lose 5-0 last night to the Oilers, and they'll be back in action tomorrow taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Tonight we'll have the national championship, Indiana and Miami. Pregame starts at 5:30. Kickoff is at 6:30. It is time for Bet the Board. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
All right, quick segment here. Bet the Board. We'll get back on track here. A little bit of a discrepancy with CD's parlay that he put together. He's got Kyron Williams and DeAndre Swift over 26.5 yards in the first half. Williams 60.5 yards in a game. Rushing, I'm assuming. Swift over 57.5 yards in the game. He hit the two games, like the game total lines, but we're going to have to go through and see if Swift got over the 26.5 yards in the first half.
Yeah, and the way that it's worded, we don't know if it's between both of them.
I'm assuming
they one or the other, and
I'm assuming both of them have to do it.
Right.
Because that's not a lot. That's not a high total for both of them to combine for it. So, and I'm looking at you, Marshy may have hit it.
I feel like he did.
Because I'm looking at Swift's first 3 carries, 6, 2, 13. Anyways, not for the listeners, for you and I to do math on the air. So why don't you give us the stand? You don't forget the standings. We don't know about CD. Jamie sent in his pick. He likes, at one point, Jamie was in first. Jamie wants the Anaheim Ducks on the money line tonight in hockey. Carey wants the Warriors spread. So the current Warriors spread is 5.5. So Carey's taking the Golden State Warriors minus 5.5. And Jamie is taking the Anaheim Ducks, who are minus 135 on the money line against the Rangers. So there you have it. I am going with the national championship game, and I'm going to take Miami plus 7.5. I think that line's too high.
I'm going to go with Mark Fletcher Jr., 70-plus rushing yards at minus 130.
That would seemingly go hand in hand with what I like. So you must think that Miami's going to keep the game close, too.
Yes.
If you think Fletcher's going to run the ball well.
I think he has to.
But the only thing, well, we'll get into it. I was about to give you my full Miami and Indiana breakdown. Let's not do that. All right, so that's Bet the Board. Like I said, it was going to be quick. Our first thoughts, initial thoughts on the NFL Conference Championship weekend. We'll get into the 2 matchups, including Rams Seahawks version 3, next on 101 ESPN.
Fans, it's game night. So what's the play? Watching at home? Nah. It's time to face off at Buffalo Wild Wings. Tuesdays, Buffalo Wild Wings dishes out buy one, get one half off for additional wings. And Thursdays, boom, it's buy one, get one free boneless wings. And every day, the Pick 6 dinner for 2 for only $19.99. 2 entrees, 2 sides, and 2 drinks for $19.99. Don't sit on the bench. Great food, epic deals, and all the action you crave. Only at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Let's go Sports Bar.
It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN coming up at 5 o'clock. Who will win the national championship? We'll break it all down because at 6:30, it's the kickoff for tonight's game. But 5:30, we're off a little early tonight. 5:30 will be the pregame. But before we talk college football, in fact, the last college football game of the season, Marsh, let's get into our initial thoughts on the AFC-NFC championship game. The AFC one's pretty easy. If Jarrett Stidham and the Broncos make it into the Super Bowl, you got some storylines, but I don't know how excited people are going to be for the game. Of course, locally here, nobody wants to see the Patriots play either the Seahawks or the Rams, especially. But you might get that. The question is whether or not Sean Payton can do something that he's not accustomed to doing, which is take the ball from the quarterback and put it in somebody else's hands, namely the running game. Now, I saw that J.K. Dobbins, they've got their window open to let him test the injury and see how he looks and then determine whether or not to activate him. There's another team that had that opportunity with another player, and I can't think of who it was off the top of my head.
For running back? Or
no, it was...
well, Fred Warner was close to coming back for the 49ers, but of course they're eliminated.
I know who it was. It was the Seahawks. It was the Seahawks tight end.
Not A.J. Barner.
No, it was the other tight end. He got hurt. He actually got hurt against the Falcons. He was out. They tested him, determined that he wasn't ready to come back, and they decided to move on. Or they decided to keep him on the IR. Anyways, J.K. Dobbins... They'll have an opportunity to watch him, to look at him. But I thought it was interesting, Marsh, that R.J. Harvey, the Broncos didn't even start with him. They used him more as a pass catcher and then kind of relied on McLaughlin on some of those earlier downs. Sean Payton doesn't hate running the ball, but he loves to use a committee. And will he do that with Jarrett Stidham as the quarterback now?
I mean, Bo Nix led their team in carries with 12 at 29 yards. The running backs ran the ball 10 times against a Buffalo defense that can't stop the run. He doesn't like running the football.
No. So how the hell are the Broncos, outside of just completely shutting down New England's passing attack, New England's offense overall, how are they going to win this game?
I mean, how did Nick Foles manage to beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl? Like, it just Jarrett Stidham's going to have to play solid football, can't turn the ball over, and Sean Payton needs to put him in a favorable position to succeed. It's possible. You know, it is possible.
He's going to have to play the game of his life.
Absolutely.
This New England defense, granted they played a banged-up offensive line for the Chargers, and an offense that also... not good up front, and C.J. Stroud struggled mightily. But a lot of that was because of how New England played. Mm-hmm. And New England doesn't have a great pass rush, but the last 2 weeks, they harassed Justin Herbert, and they harassed C.J. Stroud. This New England defense hasn't played this well all season. They've been good, but they haven't been as great as we've seen it the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, they look awesome.
And you could say, well, they played C.J. Stroud, and they played a Chargers team that was banged up. Denver's banged up too.
Right.
It's not just C.J. Stroud. Pat Bryant had the first 3 catches for Denver. It looked like he was going to have a monster day.
Yeah, didn't get 33 receiving yards like I needed him to for my parlay.
He would have. He was going to hit that in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But he suffered the concussion. He left the game. Troy Franklin, I didn't even see. At some point, he suffered an injury. He went out. That's why Marvin Mims wound up having a big game. Mm-hmm. Cortland Sutton did nothing. Nothing until the second half, and then had some pretty key drops. Had Denver lost that game, it wouldn't just be because they got Josh Allen. It would be because nobody offensively stepped up outside of Bo Nix. Mm-hmm. So now Bo Nix is out. The running game has been ineffective all season long, and Sean Payton doesn't have a great running game. And you've got, for now, your number 2 and number 3 wide receivers banged up as well. That's tough, man. Against a New England team that has passed every test. Mm-hmm. Outside of week 1 against the Raiders, and when they blew the big game against Buffalo in the second half, they have surpassed every single test.
I mean, you can make the same argument for Denver, though. You know, we've had a ton of question marks surrounding this team.
But those question marks with Bo Nix.
That's true. That's true. I don't think they'll win this game. If they do, and I don't want them to because I don't want Denver in the Super Bowl, it would be hard for me not to root for a backup quarterback in said scenario against the teams on the NFC side of things. I will say I've been a Broncos hater all year long, but if they make the Super Bowl, I'll
You're going to flip.
I will. I'll flip. Yeah.
Wow.
I like the story, though. Like, if Jarrett Stidham gets the team to the Super Bowl, like there's some magic involved in that, and they have a defense that can win them a Super Bowl.
How well does he have to play on Sunday, though?
Oh gosh,
not to win the game. I'm talking about for you to flip, because I know you, Marsh.
Well, I don't want the Seahawks to win, and I don't know if I want the Rams to win. So
it doesn't even matter.
Doesn't even matter.
Okay,
I will flip. Because they'll be the underdog.
You're going to be on the AFC no matter what, is what you're telling me. Just simply because you don't like the Rams and the Seahawks.
Well, I don't like the Patriots either. But here's the thing.
This is a nightmare for you.
The best matchup for me, because I like football, and I think the best matchup for me would be Patriots-Rams. That sounds awful for people listening, and I hate even saying it. Mm-hmm. But you have the 1 and 2 in terms of MVP voting going up against each other in what has been a chaotic NFL season. I think that is the matchup that would be most enticing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's something about, like, if it's Denver, Seattle, great defenses, I don't know if I want to watch that for the biggest game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
With a backup quarterback and Sam Darnold, who can't throw the ball that well because of his oblique right now. I don't know if I want that in the Super Bowl. I'd rather take two offensive, I don't want to call the Patriots juggernauts by any means, but what Drake May has done this year has been impressive in his second season against Matthew Stafford, who will probably win the MVP, who has won a Super Bowl, who has two dynamic wide receivers, a good tight end.
One he uses.
A good running back in Kyron Williams. And, like, that defense is serviceable. So is New England's defense. Like, they're serviceable. They can make stops and create turnovers, but they also can give up points, and that's what I want to see in the biggest game of the year. That's just my personal opinion.
I hear you. So
that's just for me. That's what I want out of my Super Bowl.
So Splashback Deuce in the Snake Pit said, someone get Andrew a can to puke in. I didn't realize that was a scenario. Because obviously you don't like the Rams. You don't want them to succeed. You're not a Sam Darnold guy. You don't like the Patriots for obvious St. Louis ties.
Yeah.
And you've been crapping on the Broncos all season long. Yeah. I didn't realize this is the worst case scenario.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. That's why I wanted the Bills to win.
Sorry for your loss.
If the Bills were in, I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good.
The other matchup from, if we just strip away the obvious angst that was here or has been here, this is a fascinating X's and O matchup. I mentioned this before. Mike McDonald has had Kyle Shanahan's, I mean, he has owned him the last couple of times. Sean McVay has fared very well against Mike McDonald's defense, including both matchups this season. The head-to-head games this season went 38-37, that wild overtime game in which Seattle had no business winning it and came all the way back. And the first game was 21-19. But the Rams kind of popped that thing into neutral after really dominating the first quarter and largely the first half of that game. But I think the Rams are going to be able to move the ball on the Seattle defense, which then pulls Sam Darnold into the action. Because they're not going to be able to just line up and hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's Sam Darnold goes from game manager, which is what he is and what he's best at, to, hey, you now have to match wits with Matthew Stafford, which is not his game.
No.
So it's fascinating. Seattle's going to win and lose on defense.
This whole upcoming weekend is very fascinating. And, we just talked about it, like the matchups. And again, this is just personal for me. Like, this is just a nightmare scenario of teams. And, just, of course, and again, a chaotic season. It could come down to Patriots and Rams, a matchup we've seen before.
Matchup made in hell for St. Louis.
Denver, Seattle, a matchup we've seen before.
Right.
Patriots, Seattle, a matchup we've seen before.
And you thought we were going to get new blood.
Now, we could get Denver and New England. I don't think we've ever seen that.
We've never seen that in the Super Bowl.
We've never seen that in the Super Bowl. Again, I'm not.
Did you mean Denver and New England?
I'm sorry, not Denver, New England. Denver and LA and the Rams.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we've never seen that.
We've never seen New England, Denver. It's impossible. But yes, you're right. Denver and
AFC.
LA.
AFC Championship.
Sure,
we've seen it. It feels like we're like back in like the mid 2010s right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just with different players, and it will be fascinating though. I'm interested to see what Jarrett Stidham does. Like he's played in games where he's won some solid regular season games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's thrown a football in a game since 2023.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think he's played since 2023. So good luck, kid.
But again, if they win, I'll be rooting for him.
Sean Payton when he came back out and said, "Hey, Bo Nix is out," and all that stuff. Did you notice? He was like, "Hey, I told you guys, watch out. We got a quarterback that can step in at any point." And Jarrett Stidham, he knows what to say. He knows what to say.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's been a little surly at the mic lately, kind of picking fights with certain media members and all that stuff. Make no mistake, everything he says is calculated.
Well, what is he going to say though?
This guy sucks.
We're done.
And I got no running game, so. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. That's Andrew Marsh and Anthony Stalter. Who will win the national championship? We'll break it all down next.
It is playoff time, and there is no better place to place your wager than over with my friends at Circa Sports. Derek Stevens, owner of Circa Sports, well, he wanted to give the world the largest sports book, and he did so in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now you can download it and have the world's largest sports book right there in the palm of your hand. All you have to do is go to the App Store or the Google Play Store, punch in Circa Sports, click on that white logo. The white logo is the one you want. That's for the state of Missouri. And once you do that, you are off and running. You're going to see great lines on futures bets, tight money line splits. They've got the best odds of any app that is out there. You don't believe me? Download other apps. Check it out. You'll see the Circa Sports has the best odds, high betting limits. And here's the best part. They celebrate their winners. They don't cap you off or cut you off or stop your betting. No, they celebrate the winners. They want to see you continue to win because Circa Sports loves that for everyone out there. So please download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
5:04, your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. We are 30 minutes away from Indiana-Miami pregame right here on 101 ESPN. Kickoff slated for 6:30, but it'll certainly be closer to 7 once they get through all the pregame stuff. So, Marsh, we've alluded to who we like tonight, or at least how we think the game will go. But this is our opportunity to actually talk about it. When it comes to these big national championship games, or certainly the Super Bowl, everyone thinks they have a beat on how the game's going to be played out. Sometimes the majority wins, and they're right. There's a lot of times, though, where I feel like the game goes nothing like we expect. So how do I think people believe the game is going to go? I think people believe that Indiana's a wagon and they'll blow Miami out. And it'll be a lot of Francisco Mendoza getting the ball to Elijah Surratt and Amari Cooper and Becker. And it's just going to be a free-for-all. If you think that Miami's going to keep the game close, you feel as though that Mark Fletcher, and this goes into what your play is for Bet the Board tonight, Mark Fletcher's going to have a big game. Miami can control the game behind that big offensive line. They can run the ball effectively. Obviously, their defense gets after Mendoza, and that is how Miami will, at the very least, without going to win it, they're going to keep it close. So what would be the opposite of that? The opposite would be Hemby and Black having big games for Indiana, and Mendoza he has a regression to the mean after having these massive games, the previous two against Alabama and Oregon, and it winds up being the two running backs that have good success, and Indiana kind of controls things, forcing Carson back in Miami to have to put the ball in the air. I think that's the way it's going to play out. Carson Beck had himself a game against Ole Miss. He wasn't perfect by any means, but one of the reasons why you bring in a Carson Beck is for his experience. Indiana defensively, they do things that often confuse quarterbacks. Ask Dante Moore. The way that they utilize their coverage, they'll show pre-snap one look and then completely get out of that look and go with something else coverage-wise after the snap. So, hey, we'll show you cover 4, then we'll go to cover 2, or we'll disguise blitzes. You think we're playing this, and we're not, and it winds up being a bunch of confusion. Carson Beck has seen it all. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but by the end of the night, would I be shocked if he's a national champion the way that he's playing the last couple of games? No. I think that Carson Beck, who gets the ball out of his hands as quickly as any QB in the nation, I could see Miami getting bottled up, running the ball. Sorry, Marsh. And having to use their short passing game to attack Indiana.
And we saw that against Ole Miss.
We did.
And they scored a touchdown late in that game, giving the ball to, I believe,
Malachi Toney.
Malachi Toney. Yeah.
Who's incredible.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched him play, he's a true freshman. Should be in high school now.
Yeah, reclassified.
Reclassified so he can enter and is Miami's most explosive player. That is how I see this game going. Indiana try and control things with their ground game, which I do think they have some success. You don't like dealing with the defensive line that can get after you, run at them. And on the other side, Indiana lost both of their top pass rushers. It did not impact them against Oregon because Oregon was behind game script immediately because of the pick 6. Even though they tied it, Indiana scored quickly and the wheels just fell off. I think that's a bigger deal tonight. And I do think Miami keeps the game close, and it's going to be this game script is going to be much different than we think.
Well, I'll just say I think Miami wins this football game. I've been riding with them for over a month now. I can't really go back and at the last second take Indiana. I do think that there will be somewhat of a, if you remember last year in the national championship, it started off like Notre Dame started off really well. Yeah. They had a long drive, and I thought, okay, like I didn't really believe in Notre Dame heading into that game. I thought Ohio State was a better team. Obviously, they were at the end of the day. But I'm like, oh, wow, okay, like this is going to be a game. And then the game proceeded to happen, and it felt like it wasn't really a game. And then Notre Dame started to make their way back. They just could not close it out, tie the game. And I remember we were texting back and forth during that game just how surprised we were that Notre Dame found themselves back in that football game. I feel like something similar could happen tonight, except for Miami actually gets the job done.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, if Miami gets it done, I could see it playing out how we used to watch the old Big 12 versus SEC national championship games, where the Big 12 comes in with the high-powered offense and that defense that's kind of opportunistic and plucky and they're not just a spread team. They can play a little defense too. That's how Indiana feels right now. And then they face an SEC team that you feel like, they're going to run the ball and they're not going to turn the ball over and they're going to play great defense. And then all of a sudden, the defense causes an eruption, turnovers, havoc, chaos. The quarterback who you didn't like on the SEC team winds up playing better than you thought, and the SEC school wins. Obviously, this is Big 10 versus ACC, but it just has that feel. Miami plays more like an SEC team than they do an ACC, or certainly what the Big 12 used to be.
Yeah, and I say that, last game for Miami, what Carson Beck did late in that game, I don't know if a lot of people saw that coming based on, how people view him. But that really changed things for me, where Miami, and the previous games, the Texas A&M game, well, they were winning. They needed to stop on defense, I believe. I think they have a great defense. I believe that they could make that stop. Now, Texas A&M drove down the field and they were right there, right? Yeah. But they end up getting the pick. How the Ohio State game, Miami was up in that one. And then you go to the Ole Miss game, back and forth, great football game. I hope we get a game like that tonight. That was an incredible football game. But you really hadn't seen it for Miami on this stage, for Carson Beck to come back, game-winning drive. That kind of changed things for me, and I feel like now I'm a believer that he could do that. And that's why I think that Miami ultimately gets it done. I truly believe that this team is way better than what people think they are.
Yeah.
Or at least what they thought they were heading into the college football playoff, because they lost to Louisville. They lost to SMU. Like, this team is better than those losses. And I also look at what Indiana did against Ohio State. Very close game. Miami beat Ohio State. And Miami's better than Alabama. I think Miami was better than Oregon. You know me, I wasn't a huge believer in Oregon.
Yeah.
I think tonight is a lot closer than what people expect this game to be.
I do too. I am not gonna. You have the huevos rancheros right now. You're a lot bolder than I am. I won't predict a Miami outright win, but I agree. I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people think. The majority of people think. And at the very least, Miami covers the 7.5, and we got a real game in the fourth quarter.
But you have Indiana winning it?
I don't know if I trust Mario Cristobal quite yet. I've seen too much.
Yeah. He only has one loss, though, in that stadium. What do you think? Okay, we haven't even talked about this. Home field advantage. Does that play into this, or do you think, Indiana fans, they travel well.
I don't think it's going to be a true home field advantage because, as you noted, like, Indiana fans are going to. Indiana, they're going to show up.
For sure.
God, this is the first time your alum is in anything like this from a football standpoint. Yeah, Miami's going to have plenty. Like, it's going to be a Super Bowl crowd, and that it's going to be split 50-50, right? Creatures of comfort, though. You're at home. You've been home all week. You know what the weather is, all that stuff. I think there's going to be a slight advantage for Miami. I don't know if it's going to be all game, though. I could see it being at the start.
Okay.
It could lead to a fast start for Miami, maybe a less chaotic, panicky start for Indiana. Maybe they're nervous, but look, when the game gets going, I guarantee you those players that have played in a couple of big games now, everything's gonna be white noise.
Right. Once you step on the football field, it doesn't matter where you're at. It becomes about what is happening on the field.
Same down and distance, same dimensions, all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, even if Miami doesn't end up getting the job done. I hope tonight is we talked about it at the beginning of the show. Does it feel like there's not enough juice heading into this game because of what Indiana has done to their opponents in the college football playoff? I hope at the very least we get a tight football game that comes down to the wire, something mimicking what we witnessed in the NFL this past week and even going back to Wild Card weekend. And like I just mentioned, the Miami-Ole Miss game. If we get something like that, then as a football fan, I'm happy.
Sure. I think we will.
I hope so.
All right, I got Indiana 24, Miami 20.
Ooh. I think that the way that this season started for Miami is going to end the same way it did. It will for Miami, and that is a late field goal. Give me Miami 24, Indiana 21.
Okay.
I'm sorry, no. Indiana 23. Miami 24, Indiana 23, 1-point ball game.
Okay, so you're going for one of those goofy scores.
Yes.
Where things don't feel clean.
That would be 2 touchdowns and, 3 field goals?
Sure. I was told there's no math.
4 field goals, right? Yeah.
So Gator says, I'm going higher, Stoltz. Yeah, initially I was thinking...
No, that math does not check out.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Hey, we don't do math. This is why. Gator, I was initially going to say Indiana 27-24. But if Indiana controls the clock with the running game like I think they might, which is the exact contrarian viewpoint of how everybody else sees this game playing out, then I could see it being a little bit lower scoring. But Gator, I don't blame you for... Whoa, Gator went 38-31 Hoosiers.
Whoa!
Holy smokes.
Okay, so what
Holy smokes.
What happens if Indiana loses this game? Is this just like a
it's devastating.
Devastating, right?
Yeah. It's the Patriots. It's the undefeated Patriots. It's devastating.
Yeah.
You came this far just to lose to a Miami team that almost got left out of the dance? Oh, it's devastating.
Failed season?
It's not a failed season, but holy smokes. Yes.
There's no guarantee that you're back in this situation.
Hell no. We can praise Kirk Cignetti in Indiana all day long. Mendoza's going to be a Raider next year. So, Mendoza will also be a Hoosier.
Yeah, he's
just not that Mendoza.
More expensive Mendoza.
Well, maybe not. But no, it would be a colossal disappointment.
There's a reason why 38-31 is the score. If you look at the total, Anthony, it's something that you may enjoy.
Oh, well done, Gator. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but well done. Now, Waterboy he just hit it right on the nose. He just says Indiana 69, Miami 67.
How about this? I'm a storyline guy. I love the 3-1-4 here. I bet Mendoza gets hurt in the first 5 minutes and his brother comes in.
I can see it.
And his lights out, wins the national championship. That's the only way the storyline can get better. That would be crazy, actually.
I certainly nobody's rooting for that at all. But if you remember, what happened on the first play against Ohio State? Do you remember that?
For Indiana?
Yeah. Big Ten championship game against Ohio State. Yeah. First play, Francisco Mendoza got hurt. He had to leave. His brother came in for a snap or two, and then Francisco Mendoza wound up coming back in. But
wow, that'd be wild.
That would be. I said Francisco. Fernando Mendoza. Jeez, get the kid's name right. Fernando Mendoza. By the way, real quick, did you see that his dad? So his dad and his mom go to a lot of the games. A lot of people already know this if you watch Indiana games, but if you don't, one of the touching stories is that Fernando Mendoza's father, anytime Indiana scores, they score a touchdown, he won't stand. His wife's in a wheelchair, so he'll celebrate by sitting with her. I think that's
that's really cool.
It's a sweet story, man. Yeah. So the Mendoza family seems awesome.
Oh, for
Fernando
sure.
Mendoza, the way he speaks, everything.
He's got great interviews.
He's got pro written all over him.
100%.
All right, we'll wrap up the show next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. We are heading into our final segment because we have the national championship coverage coming your way next right here on 101 ESPN. Indiana, Miami. Pregame starts at 5:30. Kickoff is at 6:30. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
If you missed anything from today's show, you can always download the podcast available at 101ESPN.com or via the Dobbs Tower Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. All the podcasts brought to you by Shave Your Door Company. There it is. Marsh, let's jump right to our 3 stars of the day. Don't want to be late to get into the national championship pregame here.
It's time for the Fast Lane's 3 stars of the day, presented by Circus Sports. No bet fees ever with the world's largest sports book, now at your fingertips in Illinois and Missouri.
All right, our 3rd star of the day is going to go out to Bradford Bruns for stepping in.
Nice job, Bradford.
While I went to the penalty box. And there's a reason why I went to the penalty box, because our 2nd star of the day is Nick, who defeated me today in hockey. Turns out not a good guy.
No.
But you know what? Good luck to him and the Indiana Hoosiers tonight. His whole family, Indiana-based, and I'm sure it's a huge moment for him and his family. So really, really cool.
Now I know why you're picking Miami.
No, that wasn't the reason. No. 1st star of the day goes out to the SLU Billikens. Top 25.
Man. Way to go. Talked to little Billikens today. Of course, we get into more Billikens throughout the course of the week. What a run that they have been on. All right, I want to thank everybody today that tuned in. No Carey and no Jamie today, so Marsh and I had the show, and I know that if you were off today, you still made Marsh and I appointment listening if you were listening. So we thank you. We appreciate you. Whole crew will be back tomorrow in some way, shape, or form. Jamie, I think, is going to be on the road, join us from his hotel, but Carey will certainly be back, so we should be at full strength at least for part of the show tomorrow. Indiana, Miami pregame at 5:30. So just in a couple minutes, you have the pregame, and then we've got kickoff between the Miami Hurricanes and Indiana Hoosiers for the national championship in Miami. For Andrew Marsh and Bradford Bruns and Carey Davis and Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. See you.